Chapter 1297. Xiao Jin's face grew darker and darker. His body tensed, his fists clenched tightly. Yi Qingluo looked at Xiao Jin's reaction in puzzlement. Could it be that Shi Shanglan had already proposed some conditions that were extremely difficult for them to comply with? Long Yunzhan's cold eyes glanced at Xiao Jin, as he slowly shook his head and said indifferently, "Young master, she is indeed not purely kind. The reason why he would help the world group is because..." He paused and looked away, no longer looking at Xiao Jin's expression. "Young master, she is Xiao Yi's fiancé." This sentence was like a stone thrown into the calm surface of the water, causing ripples to appear. Fiancé? Yin Xiao Yi's fiancé? Why had he never heard Yin Xiaoyi mention that she had a fiancé? Then what about Xiao Jin? Yin Xiaoyi liked Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin liked Yin Xiaoyi. The relationship between the two of them could actually be seen by observant women like her and Tong Ziqing. If Yin Xiaoyi had a fiancé, then wouldn't Xiao Jin be lovelorn? No wonder every time Shi Shanglan was mentioned, Xiao Jin's face would turn as black as charcoal. It was no wonder that Xiao Jin did not have a good expression when facing Shi Shanglan. It's said that her fiancé was chosen by her family. A slender figure walked through the door. Her pink hunting attire added a touch of color to the gloomy atmosphere. Peach walked in and told them the news that she had just specially inquired about. The elders of the two families met 2 months ago. The master and madam of the Shi family have also agreed to this marriage. As soon as Xiaoyi graduates from the academy, the marriage will be arranged. The fiancé that the Yin family found for Yin Xiaoyi? Even though Yin Xiaoyi rarely mentioned the things that happened in the Yin family, but Yi Qingluo could more or less feel it. Yin Xiaoyi was at the Yin family. It was just like how she used to be in the Yi family. Such a family would be so kind as to help Yin Xiaoyi choose a eldest young master of the Shi family? Although the Shi family wasn't considered a top-notch family in the Jianghu, it was still a powerful family. However, he still had some status in the Western continent. According to Yin Xiaoyi's life in the Yin family, Yin Xiaoyi marrying Shi Shanglan was a very good choice. But how could the Yin family be so kind? Moreover, according to Yin Xiaoyi's personality, how would she listen to her clan's orders and marry Shi Shanglan? I also inquired about one thing. Peach looked at Yi Qingluo hesitantly, not knowing if she should say it at this time. The more she hemmed and hawed, Xiao Jin, who was extremely concerned about Yin Xiaoyi's matters, became increasingly flustered. "Quickly tell me what you found out." "That fiancé. Actually, Xiaoyi knows of this person's existence." Peach stuttered. With every word he said, he carefully looked at their expressions. Xiao Jin's stiff body suddenly swayed. Long Yunzhan, who was at the side, immediately reached out to help. "She knows." Xiao Jin's voice was extremely hoarse, and it faintly revealed a trace of self-ridicule. He laughed softly. "She always knew that she had a fiancé, didn't she?" But Xiaoyi doesn't take this fiancé seriously at all. She didn't agree to this marriage, but it seems like young master she really wants Xiaoyi. Chapter 1298. Peach stammered as she wanted to continue explaining. However, a hand rested on her shoulder and pressed down lightly. Peach turned her head and saw a pair of enchanting eyes with a hint of a sly smile. "Stop talking. No matter if Xiaoyi treats young master Shi seriously or not, in young master Shi's eyes, Xiaoyi is his fiancé." Yi Qingluo stopped Peach's words. Her gaze calmly looked at Xiao Jin. "Since he's Xiaoyi's fiancé, as Xiaoyi's companion, it's natural for us to stay here." Saying that, she smiled at the dazed Peach. "Let's go take a look at Xiaoyi." Following that, she held Dmo Xian's arm with one hand and Peach's hand with the other, as they walked out of the pill refining room and headed towards the direction of the courtyard. The furnishings here were exactly the same as Yin Xiaoyi's old residence. Yi Qingluo easily found Yin Xiaoyi's room. Before she entered the room, she saw Shi Shanglan sitting on the wooden chair by the bed from the half-open door, looking at the person on the bed with a warm expression. His gaze was focused, gazing at the person on the bed, as though he was gazing at his most precious thing. After a long time, Shi Shanglan's body leaned slightly towards the bed. His slender fingers touched Yin Xiaoyi's cheek. A trace of heartache surfaced in his eyes. "Xiaoyi, The last time we met you said, if I continue to pester you, you will break my leg. Now that we've met, I even touched your cheek. I'll wait for you to get up. I'll wait for you to break my leg, all right? His voice was hoarse, and one could hear the deep feelings in his tone. He felt heartache for Yin Xiaoyi. Heartache, very heartache. Peach, who was standing by the side, couldn't help but be moved when she heard that. This way, it was indeed too easy to move one's heart. Qing Luo. If we really stay, what about Xiao Jin? She didn't want to admit Shi Shanglan's good treatment of Yin Xiaoyi, but the moment she thought of Xiao Jin's deep feelings for Yin Xiaoyi, Peach couldn't help but feel heartache. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled up slightly as she glanced sideways at the person who was following them and said softly, if this blockhead wants to be enlightened, other than relying on himself, there's nothing we can do. Isn't this an opportunity for him to properly understand his feelings towards Xiao Yi? Peach nodded as if she was suddenly enlightened. At this time, Xiao Jin and Long Yunjian had already caught up. Seeing Yi Qing Luo and the rest standing not too far away from the entrance, she followed their line of sight in puzzlement. Shi Shanglan was holding Yin Xiaoyi's hand and bringing it to his lips. Xiao Jin's eyes quickly turned red, and a vicious aura burst forth from the bottom of his eyes. Almost instinctively, he strode into the room and grabbed Shi Shanglan's shoulder with one hand. He shouted sternly, "What are you doing?" Shi Shanglan was not prepared and was struck by Xiao Jin's palm. His shoulder felt a dull pain. His whole body fell onto the wooden chair. His handsome and gentle face contorted in pain. Jinzi. Yi Qing Luo rushed into the room and stopped Xiao Jin's hand. Calm down. Young master, she has no ill intentions. Saying that, her fingers touched the profound phoenix ring, and a pill appeared in her palm. She sent it to Shi Shanglan and spoke apologetically. Recently, too many things have happened in the world group. Jin Zi is more sensitive and has misunderstood you. I seek young master Shi's forgiveness. Shi Shanglan shook his head as he pushed the pill back to Yi Qing Luo's hand. Executive Qiao cares so much about the group members. I should be happy that Xiao Yi is in the world group. Chapter 1299. Shi Shanglan's words were humble and polite. No one could find any fault with them. But the meaning behind his words was, he was Yin Xiaoyi's fiancé. Yes, Shi Shanglan was announcing his relationship with Yin Xiaoyi. Moreover, it was a declaration that his relationship with Yin Xiaoyi was extremely loving. As expected, Xiao Jin's face completely darkened. Young master, she has suffered such a serious injury. Aren't there more than 20 doctors in the outer courtyard? Young master, she had better go and bandage the injury on your shoulder first. Yi Qing Luo was worried that Xiao Jin would suddenly explode, as she hurriedly interrupted Shi Shanglan's words. Her eyes were filled with guilt. She pulled Tao Zi to her side. Jin Zi and Tao Zi, accompany young master Shi to the outer courtyard to find a doctor. Don't let him fall ill. As he spoke, he pushed Xiao Jin, whose entire body was stiff and his muscles were taut, towards Shi Shanglan. This brother of mine doesn't know how to control his strength. I don't even know if that palm just now hurt the muscles and bones in your shoulder. Shi Shanglan looked at the livid Xiao Jin. He endured the pain in his shoulder and rubbed it. He smiled warmly and said, I'm fine, it's just a small injury. Before he could finish his words, Yi Qing Luo's furious berating voice interrupted his words. Yi Qing Luo's expression sunk as she stared at Xiao Jin. Jin Zi, young master, she was the one who brought us, who were heavily injured and chased by our enemies back home. He's our benefactor. You've injured our benefactor. Why aren't you taking young master Shi to the outer court to bandage his wounds? Xiao Jin's expression was still livid, but his face was still tense as he looked towards Shi Shanglan. Shi Shanglan opened his mouth as he looked at Yi Qing Luo and then at Xiao Jin. Tao Zi, who was standing by the side, took the initiative to pull Shi Shanglan's arm, while the other hand held Xiao Jin's hand, as they walked and tried to ease the atmosphere. What Qing Luo said is right. That palm strike earlier is not light. We must let the doctor take a good look at it. Pulling and dragging, the three of them left the room. Yi Qing Luo's gaze swept across the entire bedroom. The furnishings here were exactly the same as the furnishings in Yin Xiaoyi's bedroom in the old mansion. Evidently, In order to please Yin Xiaoyi, Shi Shanglan had built this luxurious mansion exactly like Yin Xiaoyi's old mansion according to her taste. After the trio's footsteps disappeared, Long Yunzhan's gaze fell onto Yiqing Luo. What did you discover? Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze from the surroundings as she slowly walked to the side of Yin Xiaoyi's bed, lowering her eyes as she gazed at the sleepy Yin Xiaoyi on the bed. Xiaoyi didn't fall asleep naturally. On her body, there are still remnants of the sleeping herb scent. Yiqing Luo looked at the medicinal soup which had already cooled down. She picked up the medicinal soup and gently stirred it with a spoon. Soon after, she brought it to her nose and sniffed it. There's nothing wrong with this medicinal soup. However, there's the smell of medicinal herbs on Xiaoyi's body. This means that Xiaoyi has consumed sleeping herbs before. Long Yunzhan's expression froze. You mean, I have a guess. This was what Yiqing Luo had been guessing ever since she entered Yin Xiaoyi's room. She paused and her gaze collided with Dmo Xian. Dmo Xian caressed her fine black hair. There are no spies in the surroundings. Yiqing Luo was assured as she squinted her eyes and spoke calmly. Shi Shanglan brought us to the Shi family's mansion at this juncture. Although this is just a mansion in Three Springs City, but it still belongs to the Shi family. Chapter 1300. Just standing outside Yin Xiaoyi's room door, Yiqing Luo sensed something strange. But after smelling the sleeping herb on Yin Xiaoyi, Yiqing Luo felt strange. Shi Shanglan used a sleeping herb to make Xiaoyi fall into a deep sleep. His goal was to let us see how devoted and affectionate he was toward Xiaoyi. Initially, Yiqing Luo felt strange when she saw the half-opened door. Especially when he saw that Shi Shanglan was the only one in the house. He felt even more strange. If Shi Shanglan specially came to feed Yin Xiaoyi medicine, he could totally close the door. Of course, if he was worried that a single man and woman would attract criticism, he could totally leave them alone. But Yin Xiaoyi's door was half open. It seemed to be half hidden. On the contrary, it seemed somewhat deliberate. He made Yin Xiaoyi fall into a deep sleep, and specially let them hear his confession and deep feelings for Yin Xiaoyi. Yiqing Zhen had no other way, and didn't want to think about it in another direction. This was the reason why Yiqing Luo specially sent Qiao Jin away. Otherwise, based on Qiao Jin's personality, he would definitely attack directly when he knew that Shi Shanglan might be using Yin Xiaoyi. What is his motive for doing this? Long Yunzhan asked in a low voice. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes lifted up slightly as she met Long Yunzhan's eyes. As she said word by word, gain our trust, and from there cooperate with the World Mercenary Group. Or, he wants to use Xiaoyi to inquire about the whereabouts of the divine equipment. She, Yiqing Luo, Three Springs Sect's young matriarch, the World Mercenary Group's vice group leader. The news of him possessing a divine artifact had spread throughout the entire Nirvana realm. There were millions of people who wanted to get their hands on the divine artifact. As long as there was a chance to snatch the god artifact from her hands, he would definitely grab it. Divine artifact. Yes, if he could get close to Yin Xiaoyi and gain their trust. It would be a piece of cake to take away the divine relic from Yiqing Luo. Compared to the goal of cooperating with the World Mercenary Group, they were more inclined to do it for the artifact. When the World Mercenary Group was established, they had upgraded the Mercenary Group to a bronze plate at the fastest speed possible. However, their subsequent development was far too slow compared to other mercenary groups. It had been almost 3 months. The number of members in the World Mercenary Group had not even broken through 100 people. Moreover, after completing those 2 extremely difficult missions, there were only 20 or so team members, and they would take on some small normal-level quests every few days. It was impossible for Shi Shanglan to go through so much trouble just to cooperate with World Connect. Of course, these are only my guesses. Don't tell Jinzi for now. Yiqing Luo took a look at Yin Xiaoyi, who was still in deep sleep. As for other matters, let nature take its course. She was referring to the matter between Qiao Jin and Yin Xiaoyi. Once the brothers can get out of bed, we will leave this place. In the evening after dinner, Yiqing Luo let Xiao Bo and the rest go back to rest. Last night, no one had the chance to rest at all. Today, He had been busy taking care of his injured brothers. He should be tired from being so tense. Yiqing Luo's room was arranged next to Yin Xiaoyi's. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian had just walked into the courtyard when they heard a sharp voice shouting from outside. "You bunch of dog slaves! You even dare to stop me? Do you know who I am? Get out of my way." After that, a few crisp slapping sounds could be heard. Shi Shanglan's expression instantly darkened. He frowned slightly, and a tinge of helplessness appeared in his gentle eyes. Chapter 1301. Shi Shanglan was startled. He waved his hands and said, "Miss Yi, please don't misunderstand. I don't have any relationship with that lady. If they weren't friends, why would they barge into his old residence and act so arrogantly, even whipping the servants who tried to stop them? No one would believe such a thing even if he said it." Yiqing Luo ridiculed in her heart, but did not show it on her face. She only smiled and nodded at him, then pulled Dmo Xian towards her own room. The footsteps behind him had already reached the courtyard. When she saw Shi Shanglan, the woman's furious voice could already be heard. "Shi Shanglan, where is that little bitch? Young Miss Yen?" After hearing the woman's words, Shi Shanglan's expression darkened, and he frowned slightly. "Isn't Miss Yan's action a little too unbecoming? Demeanor?" The woman sneered and pushed Shi Shanglan's chest harshly. "You are a man, yet you brought my sister into your mansion. Even if the two of you are already engaged through the matchmaker's words, before you get married, a man and a woman staying in the same mansion alone, why don't you say it's unbecoming of you?" Shi Shanglan was speechless at these words. His jade-like gentle eyes were filled with helplessness. It was as if he was already used to this woman's rude and unreasonable personality. Yiqing Luo felt that this lady's voice sounded rather familiar. And the fiancé who mentioned the matchmaker, wasn't that Yin Xiaoyi? Puzzled, she glanced sideways at the woman. Coincidentally, his gaze met the woman's. The young lady's gaze went past Shi Shanglan, and when she saw Yiqing Luo who was walking into the house, her face instantly turned pale like a piece of paper. Yiqing Luo, why are you here?" That woman was none other than a stranger. It was the eldest daughter of the Yin family, Yin Xiaoyi's elder sister from the same father and mother, Yin Zhenfei. When Yin Zhenfei saw that Yiqing Luo was also in the Shi family's mansion, she was completely stunned. Towards Yiqing Luo, she hated her from the bottom of her heart, and feared her from the bottom of her heart. In the academy, even if it was Yiqing Jian, who was the first to step into the earth-profound stage, she was also forced to go missing by Yiqing Luo. Even Lu Shuiyu was defeated. She didn't dare to have any conflict with Yiqing Luo. Why was she so unlucky to meet Yiqing Luo, this god of plague? "Yo, isn't this student Yan?" Yiqing Luo retracted her footsteps into the house as her lips curled into a teasing smile, as she sized Yin Zhenfei up. "Student Yan, in this round of interclass competitions, you've suffered a series of defeats, and it seems that you've been eliminated in less than half an instance's time. I wonder if the Yin family will still love and pamper you like before." Yin Zhenfei's face turned green and white. Yiqing Luo's words were simply stabbing a knife into her heart. Yin Zhenfei was extremely talented, and the Yin family had high hopes for her. But this was a class confrontation. Yin Zhenfei's performance had completely shamed the Yin family. Yin Zhenfei was so angry that her face turned red, her chest rising and falling. After she returned from the competition, she was indeed reprimanded by the Yin family from beginning to end. Moreover, the Yin family's old grandmother even said that she would be sent to the Shijing sect to cultivate. The Ten Scenery sect was the largest sect in the Nirvana realm. The sect master was even Yiqing Jian's master. She had heard from Yiqing Jian that the Ten Scenery sect's disciples cultivated extremely hard, without any freedom at all. As compared to going to the Ten Scenery sect to cultivate, Yin Zhenfei wanted to stay in the academy more. At least in the academy, it wouldn't be so tough. Moreover, her reputation in Heavenly Academy was much better than being a small disciple in Shijing sect. Chapter 1302. Yiqing Luo glanced at her with a smile that didn't look like a smile. That gaze, that smile. It was as if he was mocking her cheap pride. As though the pride that he was putting up had long been seen through by Yiqing Luo. Yin Junfei's face became redder and redder, mixed with a greenish-black color. Whatever you do in the Yin family has nothing to do with me. Yi Qing Luo's lips twitched as she turned around and walked towards the room beside her. Yin Junfei froze in place. She hated Yi Qing Luo, but he also feared Yi Qing Luo. At this moment, she could only allow Yi Qing Luo to humiliate her. She didn't dare to retort, nor did she dare to vent her anger on Yi Qing Luo. He watched helplessly as Yi Qing Luo walked into the room. Yin Junfei's fists were clenched tightly, her body trembling slightly. Shi Shanglan, who was standing at the side, remained silent. His gaze moved back and forth between Yi Qing Luo and Yin Junfei. Seeing that Yi Qing Luo didn't stop at all as she dragged Dmo Xian back to the room, she smiled towards Yin Junfei. Junfei, Xiaoyi has just taken her medicine and is preparing to rest. Let's go to the front hall. With that, he walked in front and led the way for Yin Junfei. But Yin Junfei did not move. Her gaze, from Yi Qing Luo's room, looked towards the room next door. A hint of ruthlessness shot out from the bottom of her eyes. That little slut is in this room? Shi Shanglan hurriedly walked to Yin Junfei's side and blocked her view. Junfei, let me repeat it again. Xiaoyi is my fiancée and also your sister. If I hear you call me a slut again, don't blame me for disregarding the relationship between our two families. His voice was solemn, and his face was devoid of its usual warmth. Yin Junfei was frightened by his gaze. She staggered a few steps back and bit her red lips. Shi Shanglan, is there something wrong with your eyes? How did you fall in love with that bitch? Before he could finish his sentence. However, when she saw Shi Shanglan's increasingly serious expression, she held back her words. She's trash with a low mystic class. Trash who couldn't even break through to the Yellow Xian realm. What good can she do for you if you defend her? Yin Junfei really did not understand. Why would Shi Shanglan agree to this marriage? After seeing Yin Xiaoyi once, he couldn't forget her. If Yin Xiaoyi and Shi Shanglan really got married, the Shi family became Yin Xiaoyi's backing, then it wouldn't be so easy for her to deal with Yin Xiaoyi in future. It might also affect her position in the Yin family. No matter what, she would never let Yin Xiaoyi and Shi Shanglan get married. He would definitely not allow Yin Xiaoyi to have a single good day. I love her. I don't need any benefits. Shi Shanglan's voice was deep and his gaze became gentle. His gaze slowly landed on Yin Xiaoyi's room. No matter if she's a low-level mystic trash, or a trash that can't cultivate, I love her. This alone is enough for me to treat her well. You. Yin Junfei's fingers trembled in anger. Love. Ever since Yin Xiaoyi was born, she was an abandoned chess piece that everyone despised. Her existence was a mistake. Everyone in the world should loathe her and abandon her. What love? That kind of slut didn't deserve love. Yin Junfei clenched her fists and charged towards Yin Xiaoyi's room. With a bam, Yin Junfei kicked the door open. Shi Shanglan reacted and quickly followed to stop her. Yin Junfei charged into the room and saw a woman sitting against the bed with a mocking smile, looking at her coldly. That gaze was as cold as ice. Chapter 1303. Yu. Yin Junfei pointed at the girl on the bed and felt an inexplicable sense of guilt. The person on the bed had a pale face and looked sickly, a head of hair that looked like seaweed spread over her shoulders, adding a hint of weakness to the exquisite and beautiful girl. If she ignored that cold gaze, Yin Junfei would probably be stunned by this exquisite face. Was this still her good-for-nothing sister? In her memory, Yin Xiaoyi was lifeless and disheveled all day long, looking like a crazy woman. She still remembered that as long as she got close to Yin Xiaoyi, it was as if she felt the arrival of the god of death. Everyone in the Yin family was disgusted by his lifeless demeanor, but the girl in front of her now was even more stunning than her. How could this be her sister? Miss Yin, how have you been? Yin Xiaoyi's cold voice rang out in the room. Yin Junfei felt an inexplicable sense of fear. You are Yin Xiaoyi? How could you be Yin Xiaoyi? Yin Xiaoyi curled her lips and narrowed her mocking eyes. What does who I have to do with Miss Yin? Before Yin Junfei could speak, Shi Shanglan forcefully grabbed her arm and pulled her back. Xiaoyi is not feeling well and needs to rest. Go out first. The girl in front of her, was really Yin Xiaoyi. She was Yin Xiaoyi. Yin Junfei's eyes glowed. Her gaze was fixated on Yin Xiaoyi without blinking. Suddenly, she broke free from Shi Shanglan's hand with an unknown strength. A gust of profound qi broke out of her body and gathered on her palms. Her eyes were bloodshot and filled with hatred and resentment. She slammed her palm at Yin Xiaoyi. Little slut. Yin Xiaoyi, who had disappeared for 3 years, had really returned. And she had returned with a brand new appearance. If not for the fact that the commoners outside were discussing, Shi Shanglan would have brought his fiancé and his fiancé's companions into his residence. She probably did not know about this. She definitely could not let Yin Xiaoyi return to the Yin family, especially at this time. Her father and mother were blaming her for her poor performance in the interclass competition. She couldn't let Yin Xiaoyi steal her position. The Yin family only needed one daughter, and that was enough. Yin Junfei, Shi Shanglan shouted. He didn't expect Yin Junfei to attack just like that. Just as he was about to release his Xian Qi to stop Yin Junfei's palm, he caught a glimpse of a red figure outside the door. In the next instant, his body rushed in front of Yin Xiaoyi, opened his arms, and suddenly hugged Yin Xiaoyi. Bang! A palm landed heavily on Shi Shanglan's back. Shi Shanglan grunted and spat out a mouthful of blood. The intense pain made him furrow his brows tightly. Shi Shanglan. Young Master Shi, Yin Junfei's terrified voice sounded. Immediately following, that was Yi Qing Luo's astonished voice. The ones who walked into the room were not only Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian, but also Long Yun Zhan and Xiao Jin. The few of them had just entered the room when they saw Shi Shanglan hugging Yin Xiaoyi tightly and blocking that palm for her. Yin Xiaoyi, who was being hugged tightly, was astonished. This scene was indeed shocking. Shi Shanglan actually took the initiative to block Yin Junfei's palm for Yin Xiaoyi. Even Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but frown slightly, not sure of the guess in her heart. Could it be? Chapter 1304. I didn't do it on purpose. Yin Junfei was frightened by this scene. She trembled and retreated. The person I wanted to hit was that slut. You suddenly charged at me. It had nothing to do with me. If the Yin clan found out that she had injured Shi Shanglan, the consequences were unthinkable. She would definitely be forcefully sent to the Shijing sect by her grandmother. Pa! The crisp sound of a slap resounded throughout the room. Yin Junfei felt a burning pain on her face and a metallic taste in her throat. A trace of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. The next moment, she was pushed against the corner of the wall. A cold blade was pressed against her face. Student Yin, if I hear another word that insults my companion from your mouth, I'll make you speechless for the rest of your life. Yi Qing Luo's icy cold voice sounded like an Azura from hell. Her hand moved a little. The sharp blade cut Yin Junfei's neck. This is outside the courtyard. If one is not careful, then it can only be treated as an accident, don't you think? Right? Yi Qing Luo finished smiling. But Junfei didn't see any hint of a smile from Yi Qing Luo's long and narrow eyes. You dare. Yin Junfei's voice quivered as she stared at Yi Qing Luo in terror. After digesting what Yi Qing Luo said earlier, her expression congealed. What did you say? She's your companion? Yin Xiaoyi was Yi Qing Luo's companion? Could it be that Yin Xiaoyi was also a member of the World Mercenary Group? A member of the World Mercenary Group? What did this mean? That meant Yin Xiaoyi was no longer a wastrel. She had also heard of the World Mercenary Group's matters. But didn't the rumors say that the members of the World Mercenary Group were all disciples of the Emperor Palace? That was why they were able to complete high-level missions that even a gold medal mercenary group might not be able to complete. Was that why he was invincible and became a legend in the mercenary world? How could Yin Xiaoyi have the qualifications to enter the World Mercenary Group? Yi Qing Luo could tell what Yin Junfei was thinking about with just one look. She curled her lips and looked into Yin Junfei's eyes, saying word by word, "She is my Devil Class's class committee president, and also the executive group leader of the World Mercenary Group. So of course she is my companion." Devil Class executive leader? Yin Junfei was dumbfounded. She stared at Yin Xiaoyi in disbelief, unable to believe what she had just heard. How could this be? How could Yin Xiaoyi be a student of the devil class? How could she possibly join the World Mercenary Group? And he's the executive leader of the World Mercenary Group? Executive leader? That was a position second only to the deputy leader. To be able to hold such a high position in the World Mercenary Group, it meant that Yin Xiaoyi's ability was sufficient to lead a mercenary group. No, impossible. She's trash. Trash that can't even break through to the yellow mystic realm. Yen Jinfei's heart was filled with fear as she muttered and shook her head. Muttering softly, Yen Jinfei's mind suddenly cleared. An image appeared in his mind. In the Heavenly Academy's Heavenly Training Forest, he had once encountered an intruder. She still remembered that at that time, there was a ghostly voice that kept chasing after her. That voice kept telling her, "Your opponent is me." At that time, she felt that the voice was extremely familiar. It was extremely similar to Yin Xiaoyi's voice. However, his swift and fierce movements had dispelled her conjecture. But now she was not entirely sure. Chapter 1305. Piak. Another slap landed on Yin Jinfei's face. That was a slap without any profound energy at all. It was entirely her own strength, slapping Yin Jinfei's face. Yin Jinfei's cheeks were swollen from the slap. Yin Jinfei cried out in pain as tears streamed down her face. "I've said this before, don't insult my companion." Yi Qing Luo's voice was exceptionally cold. That squinted eyes were filled with an eerie chill. Yin Jinfei held her cheeks as she bit her lower lip. No matter how much resentment and hatred she had in her heart, she didn't dare to show it on her face. "Qing Luo." Yen Xiaoyi, who was lying on the bed, suddenly called out Yi Qing Luo's name. Yi Qing Luo glanced over. Hearing Yin Xiaoyi's voice, Yin Jinfei suddenly regained her senses. She looked at Yin Xiaoyi in terror, and in a few steps, she rushed to Yin Xiaoyi's bedside. In this situation, the few of them didn't stop her. Under their eyelids, no matter what Yin Jinfei thought of, she wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. "Sister." Yin Jinfei rushed to the bedside, anxiously trying to hold Yin Xiaoyi's hand. Yin Xiaoyi avoided her hand in disgust. Yin Jinfei missed and could only grab the blanket on Yin Xiaoyi. "Sister. I'm your biological sister. Your biological sister from the same father and mother. You won't let them hurt your biological sister, right?" Her voice trembled uncontrollably. As she said that, tears welled up in her eyes. That pitiful look made one feel pity for her. But the few of them present didn't have any good impression of Yin Jinfei. Yin Jinfei's look in their eyes was just a joke. Yi Qing Luo leaned into Di Emotian's arms as she crossed her arms, staring at them without blinking. At this moment they couldn't interfere. After all, this was Yin Xiaoyi's personal matter. If Yin Xiaoyi wished for them to let Yin Jinfei off, she didn't have any objections. The entire room was terrifyingly strange. Only Yin Jinfei's sobbing could be heard. Yin Jinfei's heart became emptier and emptier. "We have the same blood in our veins, we are sisters. As long as you say it, they will let me go." Yin Jinfei was extremely vexed. Why didn't she investigate anything today, and just rushed to the Shi family's other residence? She found out from the commoners that there was a huge fire that destroyed the World Mercenary Group. Shi Shanglan brought his fiancé back to his residence. When he heard the word fiancé, Yin Jinfei threw the fire and the World Mercenary Group to the back of her mind. All he could think about was Shi Shanglan's fiancé, the cowardly and incompetent bitch Yin Xiaoyi who disappeared for 3 years. He immediately rushed to the residence of the Shi family. If he had linked Yin Xiaoyi and the World Mercenary Group together, she would not be so submissive now, and even sought help from that slut Yin Xiaoyi. Yin Jinfei suppressed her displeasure and disdain for Yin Xiaoyi. In a soft voice, she continued to plead. "Sister, my good sister, when I return to the Yin family, I will let father and mother come and fetch you personally, okay?" Yin Xiaoyi looked at Yin Jinfei with a smile which didn't look like a smile, as her lips curled into a sneer of ridicule. "Sister? Eldest young Miss Yin, I'm afraid you've got the wrong person. Earlier I heard everything clearly when I was in the room. Didn't you say that you're the only eldest young miss in the Yin family?" Yin Xiaoyi interrupted her words. as her brows rose with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Chapter 1306. In his memory, Yin Xiaoyi had been neglected since she was young. To Yin Xiaoyi, the most important thing was feelings. As long as he gave Yin Xiaoyi a little bit of hope, Yin Xiaoyi would be willing to sacrifice her life for him. Yin Zhenfei thought that she had used kinship and the name of her parents to pressure and deceive Yin Xiaoyi. Yin Xiaoyi would definitely beg Yi Qing Luo to let her off for the sake of kinship, as long as she got out of here alive. At that time, he would think of a way to deal with Yin Xiaoyi. But who would have expected this? Yin Xiaoyi's transformation was so huge. No matter what was said, Yin Xiaoyi still had a cynical and sarcastic look on her face from beginning to end. Yin Zhenfei's expression darkened. It was already her limit to be so submissive to the slut that she had always looked down on. If Yin Xiaoyi still refused to give face, how expensive? Shi Shanglan, who had been sitting paralyzed on the wooden chair, spoke in an extremely weak voice after a long silence. The wound on his shoulder had already split open. Just now, he had also suffered a palm from Yin Zhenfei. At this moment he looked extremely weak. He called Yin Zhenfei's name softly. Xiaoyi is my fiancée, and will be the Shi family's madam in the future. As the Yin family's eldest daughter, please watch your words and actions. Pausing for a moment, the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. For Xiaoyi's sake, I won't tell the Yin clan about what happened today. When Shi Shanglan said that he would keep it a secret, Yin Zhenfei's heart was finally at ease. No matter what, she couldn't be sent to the Ten Scenery sect. Seeing Yin Zhenfei shut her mouth, Shi Shanglan then turned his gaze towards Yi Qing Luo as he gave a weak smile. Miss Yi, Zhenfei doesn't have any ill intentions. I think I just want to see my sister whom I haven't seen for a long time. If it's possible, can you let her go? Yi Qing Luo did not reply. She looked at Yin Xiaoyi. This is your house. If you want her to leave, then let her leave. Why are you asking my Qing Luo for? Yin Xiaoyi frowned as she spoke in an unfriendly tone. Shi Shanglan smiled helplessly. He seemed to be used to Yin Xiaoyi's attitude towards him. He looked at Yin Xiaoyi gently. The tenderness in his eyes could not be concealed at all. Shi Shanglan's fiery gaze caused Yin Xiaoyi to frown. She subconsciously looked at Xiao Jin, who had not said a word since he entered the room. Xiao Jin's gaze fell on her. His face was gloomy, and a storm seemed to be brewing in his eyes. They had been partners for so long. Yin Xiaoyi could tell with one look that all the muscles in Xiao Jin's body were tensed up. That was a sign that he was angry. Every time Xiao Jin was enraged, his body would tense up. Is he angry? Was he angry because of her relationship with Shi Shanglan? In other words, was Xiao Jin jealous? This thought caused Yin Xiaoyi's heart to beat faster. However, this feeling of heartbeat did not last for long. Xiao Jin had already shifted his gaze away, turning around to leave the room. His steps were extremely heavy, and he was suppressing his extreme anger. Jinzi. Yi Qing Luo turned her head to look at Xiao Jin, who had already walked far away, and took a look at Yin Xiaoyi, feeling somewhat speechless towards Xiao Jin. At this moment, shouldn't he express his concern for Yin Xiaoyi? At least in front of Shi Shanglan. He had to stabilize his position. Why did he just turn around and leave without saying a word? Even if he wanted to act cool, this wasn't the way to do it, alright? Xiao Jin, you really don't want a wife anymore? Yi Qing Luo's inner heart was about to collapse. Why did she have a déjà vu feeling that the emperor wasn't anxious, but the eunuch was anxious? The atmosphere froze. Yin Zhenfei saw that no one's attention was placed on her. Chapter 1307. Yi Qing Luo and the others saw with their own eyes. Yin Zhenfei thought that no one had discovered her, as she slipped away silently. He didn't try to stop them. After all, this was Shi Shanglan's residence. Yi Qing Luo and the others were staying here temporarily because their old residence was burnt down. Of course, he wouldn't do something as stupid as killing Yin Zhenfei in Shi Shanglan's territory. Furthermore, Shi Shanglan had already spoken up for Yin Zhenfei. If they still didn't give up, wouldn't that be slapping Shi Shanglan's face? Xiaoyi, you've just drunk your medicine. Have a good rest first. We'll talk about other things tomorrow. Shi Shanglan smiled warmly at Yin Xiaoyi. Because of Xiao Jin's inexplicable departure, Yan Xiaoyi's heart was uneasy. Hearing Shi Shanglan's words, he only responded indifferently. The smile on Shi Shanglan's face dimmed. But soon, a warm smile appeared on his face. Her jade-like eyes were filled with tenderness. I'll help you lie down. Don't think too much. Even if the Yin family's patriarch and madam really come, I won't let them take you back. He endured the wounds on his body, walked over, and gently helped Yan Xiaoyi up. Yan Xiaoyi's brows creased even tighter as she stared at his shoulder, which was already soaked in blood as she said coldly, "Take care of yourself first. I have Qing Luo to take care of, so I don't need your concern." This man, he was clearly injured. Why did he have to use his own body to block Yan Jinfei's palm for her? With his strength, as long as he used his Xian Qi, he would be able to resist it easily. "Xiaoyi, are you worried about me?" Shi Shanglan's eyes lit up, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile that was as warm as spring. He was overjoyed at this moment. Even Yi Qing Luo was unable to see through any disguise. It was like joy that came from the bottom of his heart. Because of Yan Xiaoyi's concern for him, Shi Shanglan felt extremely flattered. Even his words seemed to be stammering due to his agitation. Don't worry about me. This small injury is nothing. Rest well. I'll be fine when I see you recover." Yan Xiaoyi's frown deepened. She was worried about Shi Shanglan. After all, Shi Shanglan was injured because of her. However, it was obvious that Shi Shanglan had misunderstood her. He wanted to explain, but he didn't know where to start. Yan Xiaoyi simply turned her face away, too lazy to bother with him anymore. However, this was enough to make Shi Shanglan extremely excited. He helped Yan Xiaoyi to sleep and tucked her into bed. Only then did he turn around to leave. His gaze fell on the few people behind him, who were staring at them in a daze. A faint blush appeared on that gentle jade-like face. It was as if he had just realized that they were still in the room. He apologized with some embarrassment. I'm sorry. I've made a fool of myself in front of you. I don't think it's a joke." Yi Qing Luo gave an elegant smile. On the contrary, it allowed us to see young Master Shi's deep feelings towards Xiaoyi. Shi Shanglan's face turned redder. "She is my fiancée." Yi Qing Luo gave a meaningful smile. Following that, she pulled Dmo Xian along and prepared to leave. The medicinal effect is about to take effect. Let Xiaoyi rest quietly. We've been busy the whole day, and we're all tired. His gaze went past Shi Shanglan and looked at Yan Xiaoyi, whose back was facing them. The few of them exchanged some pleasantries and left Yan Xiaoyi's room together. After Shi Shanglan left the courtyard, Yi Qing Luo's figure once again appeared outside Yan Xiaoyi's door. She didn't enter the room. She only raised her eyes and fixed her gaze on a certain spot in the dark night. In the dark night, her voice sounded a little chilly. "How long are we going to hide there?" The wind blew and it was quiet. Responding to Yi Qing Luo. Chapter 1308. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows as her lips curled up in ridicule. "Not willing to come out? Do you feel ashamed to face Xiaoyi? Or are you deeply aware that you are inferior to young Master Shi?" In the dark, rustling sounds could be heard, appearing somewhat messy. After some time, a figure steadily landed in front of Yi Qing Luo. His dark and gloomy face almost merged with the night. "That's enough. You're already ugly enough. Don't keep a straight face." Yi Qing Luo rolled her eyes. "Look at young Master Shi. That fair complexion, those long legs. If we were to really compare, this point has already won you completely. With that pretty face of his. He wants to completely defeat me? Wait till I reveal." Xiao Jin's voice paused. That unprepossessing face had a complicated expression. His tone changed and his voice deepened. "What are you trying to say? Let's talk inside." Yi Qing Luo finished her sentence and stepped into the room next door. Xiao Jin hesitated for a moment but still followed. Candlelight flickered in the room. Dmo Xian sat by the side sipping his tea. Yi Qing Luo had just walked over when she was grabbed by one hand and forcefully pulled into his arms. Long used to Dmo Xian's sudden display of affection, Yi Qing Luo couldn't be bothered to struggle. She just sat on Dmo Xian's lap and looked at Xiao Jin lazily. After being agitated by Shi Shanglan, "You don't even want your wife anymore?" "What wife?" Xiao Yi and I don't have that kind of relationship. Xiao Jin's brows were tightly knitted together. His face under the candlelight was livid. Yi Qing Luo thought, what if she wasn't the one asking this question? Xiao Jin would probably use his fist to answer this question. Why are you still trying to be secretive in front of your brother? Yi Qing Luo rolled her eyes at him. Do you know what is the reason why you lost to Shi Shanglan? Xiao Jin was silent. He seemed to be unable to answer. He seemed to be waiting for her answer. Yi Qing Luo sighed helplessly and pointed at the man who was hugging her. Do you see that? The overlord who was worshipped as a deity in the Nirvana realm is now with me. Have I ever hidden such an honorable identity from you? Has he ever denied our relationship? Yi Qing Luo knew that for matters of the heart, she could only rely on herself to resolve it clearly. But according to Xiao Jin's character, even if he was given another 100 years, this blockhead of his probably couldn't even wrap his head around it. What a woman wants the most isn't for you to silently pay for her, but for you to let her see your feelings for her. Yi Qing Luo lowered her voice and said word by word, a woman's heart is very easy to let her imagination run wild. If you are unable to let her feel your love for her, then she will fall into a lot of wild imagination. In the end, in those thoughts, she is sure that you have no feelings for her. Just like what happened in the room earlier. You were clearly jealous, but you pretended to be cool and left. Not only did your actions hurt Xiao Yi, it also caused her to misunderstand you. Just like earlier, you were hiding on the tree beside Xiao Yi, secretly protecting her. But Xiao Yi doesn't know about any of this. Instead, she might think that she's being monitored. Your sacrifice is meaningless. Since he liked her, he should say it openly. After conveying his intentions, even if he was rejected, he wouldn't regret it in the future. What have you sacrificed for love? Just say it openly. At the very least, she knew what you had done for love. What silently sacrificing for your lover, seeing her happiness, it was all bullshit. From Yi Qing Luo's point of view, this was simply his cowardice. Anyway, if she were to watch Dmo Xian silently from afar, silently sacrificing for him, she absolutely couldn't do it. Say that she was selfish, or only loved herself. To her, if there was no reciprocation of feelings, even if she really fell in love, she wouldn't hesitate to pull away. She still had a lot of things to do. Love wouldn't be her everything. One day, time would slowly wear away this relationship. Chapter 1309. Xiao Jin's eyes widened as he stared blankly at Yi Qing Luo, as though he had not expected Yi Qing Luo to say such words. Jinzi, I'm only saying this to you because we're friends. Yi Qing Luo's gaze was solemn, and her tone was solemn. If you really like Xiao Yi at least, convey this feeling to her. Even if she doesn't agree to it, she will absolutely not cut off all ties with you because of this. Xiao Jin's hand, which was hanging by his side, clenched into a fist. The candle flame swayed as it reflected the complicated emotions on his face. You don't know anything at all. Xiao Yi and I are not you and the Overlord. We are not you. Yi Qing Luo's words were like needles stabbing into Xiao Jin's heart. Xiao Jin was clear that what Yi Qing Luo said made sense. But that gloomy feeling in his heart made him extremely uncomfortable. He also wanted to tell Yin Xiaoyi about his feelings. He wasn't willing to see Yin Xiaoyi being snatched away by other men. But Yin Xiaoyi didn't like him. He had used a strong attitude to treat her time and time again. And he had forcefully pushed her time and time again. Yin Xiaoyi didn't kill him was already on account of their many years of brotherhood. If he told this feeling to Yin Xiaoyi would definitely avoid him. Yes, you are not me and Xian. Yi Qing Luo's voice turned cold. Because we are braver than you. Xian likes me, and he told me directly. Even if I don't like him, I believe that Xian will use his own methods to make me sink in. I like Xian, so I'm willing to be with him. Even if he really doesn't like me, I will also use my own methods to make him submit to my charm. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled as her palm touched Dmo Xian's cheek. She should be glad that it was because of his and her bravery. They didn't have so many twists and turns. To be able to love each other was hard to come by. So this kind of relationship, they treasured it very much. Xiao Jin turned silent. The room was silent. so quiet that one could only hear the three of them breathing. After a long time, Yiqing Luo then sighed faintly, as her tone contained some helplessness. Jin Z, you being like this. As a man I feel very embarrassed. If that's the case, I feel that Shi Shanglan, who is always willing to express his feelings for Xiao Yi, might be more suitable for Xiao Yi. Xiao Jin's gaze darkened. The light from the fire made his eyes red. Xiao Jin was enraged. He tensed his muscles and stood up. He walked towards the door without looking back. Jin Z. Yiqing Luo also stood up immediately, as her charming eyes gazed at his back view without blinking. The way you are now to Xiao Yi is actually a kind of harm. The man who was walking to the door stopped in his tracks. His stiff body was still tense. Inexplicably angry, inexplicably gentle, inexplicably turning around and leaving. Yiqing Luo and Xiao Jin's attitude towards Yan Xiao Yi during this period of time was spilled out word by word. Xiao Yi isn't a roundworm in your stomach. She's unable to guess what your inexplicable actions are for. Instead, it will make her sink into uneasiness, sinking into an inexplicable guess of your emotions. To her, isn't this a form of harm? Xiao Jin's tense body turned even stiffer. He wanted to take a step to leave, but he couldn't move at all. After some time, he shut his eyes. His back faced Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo couldn't see his expression. She could only hear the desolation in his tone, as well as a helpless sigh. I have already given up. His voice was hoarse, revealing a hint of choking. Chapter 13:10. Yiqing Luo was slightly stunned as her slender brows creased tightly. What do you mean? When I saw Shi Shanglan use his body to block Yin Zhenfei's palm for Xiao Yi, Xiao Jin's tightly shut eyes felt a little sour. That scene kept replaying in his mind. If he didn't really love Yin Xiao Yi, why would Shi Shanglan disregard his own body and forcefully block that palm? Because of that palm strike, so you want to give up? Yiqing Luo's voice was extremely calm. It's not just because of that palm strike. I can see that Shi Shanglan treats Xiao Yi really well. If Xiao Yi is with him, she will definitely be happier. Xiao Jin laughed. However, his laughter was unable to conceal his sorrow. Xiao Yi did not seem to hate Shi Shanglan. The Yin family was also extremely satisfied with Shi Shanglan as their son-in-law. If he forcefully interfered in Xiao Yi's life, it was completely destroying Xiao Yi's current happiness. He couldn't be that selfish. Yiqing Luo looked at his back as her voice grew calmer. Then give up. Xiao Jin's attitude was very clear. Even if she continued to persuade him, it would be useless. If this was what Xiao Jin wanted, then it would be best for him to give up. As long as he doesn't regret it in the future. Xiao Jin gave an indifferent "in" before walking out of the room. This time, Yiqing Luo didn't stop him. The room fell into silence once again. Behind her, a pair of strong arms circled around her waist. A scorching hot chest pressed against her back. The elegant scent of sandalwood seeped into his nose. The vexation in her heart gradually dissipated under the man's elegant aura. This is the path he chose, you don't have to feel guilty. The man's low and hoarse voice sounded in her ears. Yiqing Luo turned around, and her little hand circled around his waist. She obediently leaned her head against his chest. That's Shi Shanglan. I'm still worried. I've already asked Wen to investigate. Dmo Xian's eyes congealed. He had the same thinking as Yiqing Luo. They were all suspicious of Shi Shanglan's motives. Even though she saw Shi Shanglan's deep feelings for Yin Xiao Yi, he personally saw Shi Shanglan disregard everything for Yin Xiao Yi. However, they still felt that Shi Shanglan was not as simple as he seemed. After all, it was for the divine artifact. Or did he have other motives? Or was it really for Yin Xiao Yi? All of this, when Ah Feng brought back the information from the investigation, there would be an answer. Ah Xian, thank you. Yiqing Luo raised her charming eyes as she gazed deeply at him, her little hand caressing his face. Luckily, we're not as silly as Jin Zi and Xiao Yi. Looking at them, the more I feel that my bravery back then was right. Dmo Xian closed her hand on his cheek. His shimmering peach blossom eyes overflowed with warmth. I should be glad to have met you. Yiqing Luo tiptoed, stretched out her hand and hooked his neck, kissing his thin lips. That was right. Fortunately, Their relationship could be smooth sailing. I hope they can keep walking like this. The next day, Yiqing Luo had just stood up when Dmo Xian's figure was no longer beside her. The toiletries were already prepared at the side. After washing up, Yiqing Luo walked out of the room. The sky was already bright. There were already a few maids in the courtyard. When they saw Yiqing Luo, they greeted her politely, "Miss Yi." Yiqing Luo nodded as she saw Yin Xiaoyi's room door open. When he arrived at the door, he saw Shi Shanglan sitting by the bed and feeding medicine to Yin Xiaoyi. Chapter 13:11. Yiqing Luo restrained the expression in her eyes as she smiled and walked into the room. "Xiaoyi, are you feeling better?" Yin Xiaoyi was frowning as she unwillingly drank the medicine from the spoon in Shi Shanglan's hand. Seeing Yiqing Luo enter, her face revealed a sliver of embarrassment as she turned her face away and rejected the medicine, which Shi Shanglan passed to her lips. Shi Shanglan was an intelligent person. He knew when to stop. He immediately placed the medicine bowl aside and smiled warmly. "Miss Yi, I'll go check if the other's medicine is ready. I'll have to trouble you to take care of Xiaoyi." Yiqing Luo nodded as she walked over. Shi Shanglan stood up and spoke warmly to Yin Xiaoyi. "The doctor will take a look at your wounds later to see if there's any improvement. Drink the medicine and rest for a while." Yin Xiaoyi didn't reply. Shi Shanglan was used to her attitude. He bid farewell to Yiqing Luo in a cultured and elegant manner as he got up and walked out of the room. Yiqing Luo took over Shi Shanglan's action as she took the medicine bowl and sat by the side. After drinking a spoonful of medicine, the medicinal taste was extremely bitter. So bitter that Yin Xiaoyi's brows knitted into a bundle. "Do you want to leave Shi family's residence?" Yiqing Luo diverted Yin Xiaoyi's attention as she asked calmly. Indeed, Yin Xiaoyi's expression congealed. The bitterness on her face slowly disappeared. A pair of beautiful eyes looked at Yiqing Luo in puzzlement, as though she didn't understand the meaning in her words. "You don't like Shi Shanglan, right?" Yiqing Luo scooped up the second spoonful and sent it to Yin Xiaoyi's lips. Yin Xiaoyi swallowed it and replied, "How could I have any feelings for him? I totally don't care about that engagement." Engagement was simply a joke. She had been missing from the Yin family for 3 years. 3 years, not stepping into that place. But 2 months ago, he had inexplicably arranged a fiancé for her. What did Yin family treat her as? They didn't even remember her existence for 3 years. When they said they were engaged, they meant it. If she didn't agree, Yin family could forget about forcing her. You two should have met before. Yiqing Luo had heard that ever since Yin Xiaoyi bought that old residence, she hadn't had any interaction with Yin family for the past 3 years. To the Yin family, Yin Xiaoyi had long been treated as a dead person. How could a fiancé suddenly appear? Furthermore, he was acting so deeply in love with her. It was impossible that they hadn't met before. This was the reason why Yiqing Luo was especially suspicious of Shi Shanglan. This residence was a complete copy of the style of the old residence that Yin Xiaoyi had bought. It was obviously to please Yin Xiaoyi. How did Shi Shanglan know that the old residence belonged to Yin Xiaoyi? Yes. Yin Xiaoyi didn't hide anything. "We've met a long time ago. It can be considered as a friendship of life and death." The story of Yin Xiaoyi and Shi Shanglan was very simple. When they were 10 and 7 years old respectively, they were kidnapped by a gang of bandits who had fainted from hunger. The Yin family didn't take Yin Xiaoyi seriously at all. When Yin Xiaoyi was kidnapped, the Yin family didn't respond at all. Yin Xiaoyi had never thought that the Yin family would be willing to fork out money to redeem her. Naturally, it was to find a way to escape from the thieves' lair. She didn't expect Shi Shanglan to escape with her. Yin Xiaoyi didn't want to bring along this burden, but discovered that the 10-year-old Shi Shanglan's profound grade had already reached yellow profound 3rd grade. Thinking that she could have a bodyguard by her side, she brought him along. Therefore, the 2 little children tried their best. The process was extremely arduous and painful. The 2 of them almost died under those bandits. Chapter 13:12. After that, there was no contact. This story was indeed melodramatic, which meant Shi Shanglan really liked Yin Xiaoyi. Just because the two of them had experienced life and death together when they were young? After that, I only saw him once, and that was 2 months ago, Yin Xiaoyi said as she finished the medicine. After escaping, she and Shi Shanglan had no contact. Yin family didn't care about Yin Xiaoyi, but Shi Shanglan was different. Shi Shanglan was the eldest young master of Shi family, and the future master of Shi family. Shi family sent out numerous top exponents to rescue him. In the process of escaping, Shi family rushed over and brought Shi Shanglan away. As for her, because she had done the dangerous thing of bringing Shi Shanglan away from the thieves' lair, she was almost dismembered. Shi Shanglan begged his father to spare her life and send her back to Yin family. But when she was sent back to Yin family, he didn't forget to reprimand Yin Xiaoyi in front of Yin family's patriarch. During that period of time, Yin Xiaoyi's life wasn't easy. There were several times when she almost died under the Yin family's beatings. Hence, toward Shi family, Yin Xiaoyi didn't have any good impression. Later on, she had enough ability to protect herself. She earned enough money to purchase the old residence in 3 Springs City West Street. From then on, she stayed in the old residence. And 2 months ago, Shi Shanglan went to the old residence to look for her and explained that they had already set the engagement. Yin Xiaoyi directly threw Shi Shanglan out. After that, it was this meeting. Yi Qing Luo's expression sunk slightly when she heard that. Which means, till today, you've only met twice? Yin Xiaoyi nodded. Twice. Once 10 years old. Once 20 years old. With a gap of 10 years, the two families had set the engagement? And even made his own residence look the same as Yin Xiaoyi's old residence? Which meant, Shi Shanglan had actually been silently observing Yin Xiaoyi? Cough. Why did Yi Qing Luo feel that this had the feeling of an idiot? But, after hearing this story, Yi Qing Luo also started to suspect if her guess toward Shi Shanglan was too malicious. After all, the goals that she and Long Yunjian had guessed became a joke after combining with this story. Because she and Yin Xiaoyi had only known each other for less than half a year. The World Mercenary Group had been established for about 3 months. If Shi Shanglan was here for the divine weapon, or for some other purpose, the time did not match with the style of this residence's decoration. Qing Luo. Yin Xiaoyi leaned towards the head of the bed, and suddenly called out softly. Yi Qing Luo raised her eyes, and looked at her in puzzlement. Yin Xiaoyi's gaze was unfocused as she stared ahead. The expression on her face faintly revealed a trace of desolation. You tell me, what is the feeling of truly liking someone? Yi Qing Luo was stunned as she reacted. You want to ask about Jin Zi, right? Yin Xiaoyi's gaze suddenly trembled as it fixed onto Yi Qing Luo. If it's Jin Zi or Shi Shanglan, who will you choose? Yi Qing Luo asked with a smile. Yin Xiaoyi choked on the question. What kind of choice is this? It's not like the two of them. Don't both like me. When she said the last few words, her voice lowered by quite a bit. If one didn't listen carefully, it was almost inaudible. It wasn't like both didn't like her. She was referring to Qiao Jin. These two people. They obviously liked each other, but they weren't willing to make it clear. This resulted in both of them doubting each other and not liking each other. Thinking of last night, Qiao Jin's choking voice and his desolate back view, Yi Qing Luo felt a burst of melancholy. Chapter 1313. It wasn't that Yi Qing Luo didn't want to give them a hand, but recalling what Dmo Xian said to her before she fell asleep last night. Finally she suppressed this urge. Dmo Xian said that Qiao Jin must have his own difficulties for making such a choice. Qiao Jin wasn't a timid person. Since he had chosen to give up on Yin Xiaoyi, then she would respect his choice. After all, that was their own lives. No matter how good Yi Qing Luo's relationship with them was, she couldn't interfere with the lives they had chosen. How are the rest of the brothers? Did Ghost Doctor say when we can get down from the bed? Yin Xiaoyi saw the atmosphere in the room stiffening, and she didn't want to continue with the topic, which made her heart ache, disturbing her mood, so she changed the topic. Yi Qing Luo replied, You're the one who suffered the most serious injury among the brothers, so you should be relieved? Yin Xiaoyi couldn't help but laughed and gave a dry cough. She was the one who suffered the most serious injury, which meant the rest of the brothers were all fine. Her heart, which was hanging in the air, was finally able to settle down. As for the time to get down from the bed, the other brothers need at least half a month. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. As for you, I'm afraid it will take a month. Yan Xiaoyi's smile froze as her expression changed. Then what about the 1-month training in Class of God? If they were to go to Class of God, they definitely couldn't let the other students go. In the interclass competition, Yiqing Luo defeated Zi Qianqian. Not only Zi Qianqian was embarrassed, but the entire Class of God was embarrassed. Heavenly Academy's students who were known as Waste Class, and the top student in Class of God, Zi Qianqian, who was known as the #1 beauty, had a one-on-one competition. Zi Qianqian not only relied on her profound grade advantage, she even took out a legendary grade weapon to kill Devil Class's Yiqing Luo. The entire Class of God's reputation was ruined in this competition. If the other students were to stay in Class of God for a month, it was estimated that by the end of the month, they would only receive 10 students' corpses. Because of this, Yiqing Luo decided to let Tong Ziqing, Kitty Li and Bei Ming Liancheng stay in Devil Class to temporarily take on the role of class monitor and class committee member. She would then choose 10 students whose ability and awareness were extremely strong to go to Class of God for training. Yan Xiaoyi was one of them. The trip to the Class of Gods would take place in a few days. The students were all injured. How could they go to the Class of Gods? Just apply to the dean to postpone it. Don't forget, the class that wins first has to represent the Heavenly Academy and head to the southern continent to participate in the Academy Exchange meet. Yiqing Luo comforted him in a gentle voice. Just put the time to go to the Class of Gods after the exchange meet. Exchange conference? Yan Xiaoyi was surprised. Isn't it still a few months later? Why is it also brought forward? The southern continent was the headquarters of the Academy. Every year at the end of the year, the headquarters would hold an Academy Exchange Conference. Every Academy would lead a class to the Exchange Conference. Every time the Heavenly Academy selected the class for the Exchange meet, it would always be the class that won the championship in the previous years. According to the schedule, the Exchange Conference would be held after the previous interclass competitions. But this time, because the Heavenly Academy had brought forward the interclass competition, too many things happened. Therefore, the headquarters decided to hold the conference in advance. This was what Yiqing Luo had heard from the Peach yesterday. Chapter 13-14. On the second day of recuperating in Shi family, evening, the students' waste tokens sent a message to the Academy, gathering all the students to arrive at the Academy on time tomorrow morning. Yiqing Luo took a look at her brothers who were still lying on the bed, unable to make any big movements. She decided to go to the Academy and personally apply for half a month's leave from the director. She had just walked to the entrance when she saw 2 old men dressed in white robes standing at the entrance. One of them was beaming with joy while the other had a gloomy face as his brows creased tightly. These 2 people were God Thief and Ghost Doctor. Yiqing Luo, are you going to the Academy to apply for leave? Let Ghost Doctor accompany you. God Thief pushed Ghost Doctor towards Yiqing Luo. Ghost Doctor's status in the Academy, even the director has to be wary of him. Ghost Doctor? Yiqing Luo looked at Ghost Doctor, whose face was filled with impatience as her heart started to pound. She had indeed intended to find a helper to meet the director together. But her initial thought was to find teacher Guiyu together. After all, between the director and Guiyu, there was some hidden unspeakable story. If it was Ghost Doctor along, then there would be no need to specially trouble teacher Guiyu. But Master Ghost Doctor hated troublesome matters. To make Master Ghost Doctor stay at the Shi family's other residence, to help these students to treat their illnesses. To Ghost Doctor, this was already a huge trouble. Now he still wanted him to accompany her to look for the director? Wouldn't he be too insatiable? Master Ghost Doctor has been helping me to take care of these injured brothers these few days, and has already delayed the medicinal pills for several days. So I'm not numb. Still not leaving? Ghost Doctor's impatient voice interrupted her words. Not waiting for Yi-Ching Luo to react, Ghost Doctor had already taken the lead, walking towards the direction of Heavenly Academy. Seeing Yi-Ching Luo still in a daze, God Thief patted her back. Please, last Luo, aren't you going to follow up? Yi-Ching Luo was stunned as she looked at Ghost Doctor's departing figure, as her heart felt warm. Her brows overflowed with gentleness as she revealed an elegant smile. God Thief, thank you. My brothers. I'll leave them to you. Saying that, she turned around and immediately chased up to Ghost Doctor's footsteps. Looking at Yi-Ching Luo's departing figure, God Thief's smile slowly faded. His eyes, which were not the least bit serious, were also covered with a layer of solemnity. Little girl, you have to grow up quickly. Otherwise, when the situation becomes more and more serious, you will lose your qualifications, he muttered in a low voice, as if he was talking to himself, but also as if he was talking to someone, until Yi-Ching Luo's silhouette completely disappeared from his sight. Only then did Holy Pirate look away. He turned around and walked towards the Shi family's residence. He stepped into the residence and returned to his room. Holy Pirate scanned his surroundings and confirmed that the aura had disappeared. Only then did he slowly open his palm. A paper crane shimmering with mystic light slowly rose from his palm. For the sake of the girl's safety, this matter must be reported. At this moment, a tall and slender figure was standing in the dark not far from the main entrance of the mansion. That glistening purple robe complemented that peerless face, making it even more frightening. I will lose what qualifications? His thin, rosy lips softly mumbled God Pirate's words. His peach blossom eyes gradually narrowed, concealing all the profound meaning. Then he flicked his sleeve. His figure seemed to have melted into the air and disappeared. Chapter 13-15. The Entrance of the Heavenly Academy. Yi-Ching Luo looked at the pitch-black and tightly shut academy's main door as she halted her footsteps. There was no one in the Heavenly Academy, and the entire academy was quiet. There wasn't even a guard at the door. Yi-Ching Luo's slender brows creased slightly as she stared at the pitch-black Heavenly Academy, inexplicably feeling. It was like an extremely terrifying and gloomy ancient castle. She moved her feet and approached the academy, but the Ghost Doctor's hand pressed down on his shoulder. Come back, don't forget the academy's rules. Yi-Ching Luo had the Heavenly Academy's little booklet, so naturally she was clear about the rules. According to the rules of the academy, no student was allowed to approach the academy during the holidays. Otherwise, they would be punished and their class would be demoted. This punishment was extremely harsh. Because of this, in the past 10 years, not a single student had dared to violate this rule. Yi-Ching Luo halted her footsteps. She caressed the profound phoenix ring with her slender fingers. She took out a red veil and covered her face, only revealing a pair of enchanting eyes that were filled with a biting cold light. However, when she looked at the Ghost Doctor, her gaze became mischievous and gentle. As long as the academy doesn't find out, the academy won't be able to punish me. No. The Ghost Doctor turned and left without hesitation, his voice cold and annoyed. Don't think that the academy can't catch you just because you can teleport. After taking a few steps, he realized that there was no one following behind him. The Ghost Doctor's brows furrowed tightly, and she turned her head to look behind her. Under the moonlight, the red-clothed girl crossed her arms and looked at him with a faint smile. That pair of mischievous eyes was calm and elegant at this moment. What is Master Ghost Doctor afraid of? The girl's clear and sweet voice floated into the Ghost Doctor's ears. The Ghost Doctor's body stiffened. Yi-Ching Luo laughed lowly. Her laughter was sweet and charming. Ghost Doctor's master's identity? I know, it's definitely not simple and definitely not just an alchemist only. Ghost Doctor Master and Holy Pirate are not willing to tell me because my power is not at a level where I can know you. In the night, the Ghost Doctor's expression couldn't be seen clearly, but from the Ghost Doctor's voice, he could hear the shock in his voice. After a long time, he suddenly chuckled. The lines on his usually stern face also softened. He slowly walked towards Yi-Ching Luo's direction. Master Ghost Doctor, I want to go in. Yi-Ching Luo's voice was neither servile nor overbearing, revealing her determination. If I don't take the initiative to face it, I will never be able to truly grow. I will take good care of myself, please don't worry. It wasn't Yiqing Luo's first time sneaking into the academy during the holidays. The last time he snuck in, he discovered that the dean had taken advantage of the holidays to spread the underground forces around the academy. It could be said, the Heavenly Academy was actually the hidden base of the dark forces in the Nirvana realm. This time, if he were to sneak into the academy during the holidays, perhaps he would be able to make some important discoveries. Her teleportation secret art had already been trained to the 3rd level in the Azure Dew bracelet with Old Man Song. If something really happened, and he used the teleportation secret technique to escape, it was also a piece of cake. The ghost doctor met her unwavering gaze and muttered to himself for a moment. His expression had already reverted to his usual impatience. All right, I'll accompany you in. A bright smile blossomed on the young girl's face. She spread open her arms and wrapped them around the ghost doctor, hugging him and flattering him with incomparable joy. Long live Master Ghost Doctor. I love Master Ghost Doctor the most. This lass. Her face changed really quickly. The ghost doctor sighed helplessly. Chapter 13:16. The cold moonlight shone on the ground. Yiqing Luo's agile figure shuttled through the academy. Her footsteps were swift like the wind, totally unable to catch a trace of her. The academy was quiet. After passing by several class courtyards, there was no sound at all. There wasn't any light in the academy, emitting a terrifying cold atmosphere. In the darkness, Yiqing Luo and Ghost Doctor exchanged glances and moved towards the direction of the library pavilion at the same time. Just as she reached the entrance of the library pavilion, Yiqing Luo acutely heard someone's voice coming from the library pavilion. Yiqing Luo's eyes shone brightly as she and Ghost Doctor concealed their presence and quietly approached. On the 2nd story of the library pavilion, a luminous pearl shone brightly on the entire 2nd story. Director knelt on the ground shivering, and in front of him stood 2 figures. Sir Holy Law. I really didn't know that little slut's ability was so strong. Director kept kowtowing as he broke out in cold sweat. She's just an earth-profound 4th grade cultivator. How strong can she be? The lady sneered in disdain. Her tone was extremely dissatisfied. From what I see, you obviously want that little slut to win the championship. Director trembled even more. Guardian who? I'm loyal to his lordship. Absolutely don't dare to have any disloyalty. And will not have any disloyalty. Then tell me, how are you going to explain to his lordship? That little slut won Shangguan Lu Li's blood oath. The lady walked closer to Director. Under the luminous pearl, that exquisite and beautiful face was covered with a thick viciousness. This face. Wasn't it Yiqing Qian? I don't know. Director didn't dare to look at Yiqing Qian. I have already increased the difficulty and cooperated with Guardian and Lord Holy Law's request to make Yiqing Luo lose in the competition, but he wanted to cry but no tears came out. This pot really shouldn't be carried by him. Right from the start, he had set so many traps to prevent Yiqing Luo from participating in the competition. And in the competition, every round of the competition, he had cooperated with this guardian whose request. Finally losing the competition. That was also because Shangguan Luli was useless. That was also the fault of that Lord Holy Law who impersonated Lu Shuiyu. In short, if I can't get the little slut's profound heart jade, then this protector will use your profound heart jade and soul to offer it to his lordship first. Yiqing Qian's cold eyes swept over as she flicked her sleeves. Wolf Xingfa hugged her slender waist tightly from the side. All right, don't get angry and ruin your pretty little face. Yiqing Qian obediently leaned into Wolf Saint Art's arms. Her gaze suddenly turned foxy. I'm worried for Wolf Saint Art. If his lordship were to blame you, I'll feel heartache. The sweet voice caused the Wolf Saint technique's expression to change slightly. He increased the strength in his hand and directly pressed Yiqing Qian onto the table. The number of souls that his lordship needs today is increasing, and the pure young cultivator's souls are becoming lesser and lesser. The supply is insufficient, and he has already fallen into a coma. Yi Qingqian's tender and enchanting voice rang in the quiet library pavilion's second story. Before his lordship wakes up, this Saint Art will personally take away the profound heart jade from Yi Qing Luo. Wolf Saint Art said disapprovingly. Immediately he lifted up Yi Qingqian's skirt. Seeing that you're so worried about this Saint Art will satisfy you now. The room was charming and gentle. Director knelt on the ground, listening to such a provocative voice. He didn't dare to raise his head, and at this moment. Chapter 13:17. Cough. These two people. Ghost Doctor was after all an old man. Standing with a young lady at the entrance, he heard the sounds of this scene. It was simply too awkward. Pooey. Yi Qing Luo spat out a soft sound. Only her lips breathed out, without any sound at all. But borrowing the light from the second story's luminous pearl, Ghost Doctor could clearly see Yi Qing Luo's lips. She said word by word. Who are they? These two people are obviously livestock, ready to estrus anytime, mating anywhere. The Ghost Doctor's expression, which had been cold all along, changed slightly. All right, he admitted that there were two livestock inside. Hearing Yi Qingqian's coquettish voice, Yi Qing Luo's eyes revealed a chilly intent. Her lips curled, a cold and treacherous smile blossomed on her lips. Yi Qingqian. She had not expected to see Yi Qingqian at this moment. She had intended to wait for her brother's injuries to recover, before she took the initiative to look for Yi Qingqian. Now that she saw, how could she let go of such a good opportunity? West Lawn Public Square's mountainside. Revenge for attacking her brothers. Taking the opportunity when she wasn't around. Setting fire to the World Group's old residence. Attempting to take revenge for killing her brothers. New hatred and old hatred. She would make Yi Qingqian pay back 100 times. The iciness in her eyes was like a bone-cutting knife. Ghost Doctor, who was beside her, also sensed this anger. He frowned as he stretched out his hand to hold Yi Qing Luo's arm, indicating for her to restrain her presence. Generally speaking, a cultivator's perceptive ability was much stronger than ordinary people. If someone was staring at them, cultivators would discover it at the first instance. However, the two people in the room were still in the midst of making love, enjoying themselves. They totally didn't notice the commotion outside the door. As for the director, who was kneeling on the ground with a complicated feeling, he had already wandered off somewhere and didn't notice anything. After Ghost Doctor's reminder, Yi Qing Luo then realized that her arrogance was too insolent. She immediately restrained the anger in her eyes as she pursed her lips. If it was in the past, she would never show her emotions on her face. Even if she met her eyes, if she didn't want to, no one would be able to find out her thoughts from her eyes. But now it was different. Because of her concern for her brothers. When he saw Yi Qingqian, the fury and hatred in his heart surged up. Her fair little hand was pressed against her chest. The anger that was burning in this place was still boiling. She closed her eyes and suppressed this irrepressible urge. Calm down, I need to calm down. Even if he wanted revenge, he could not be so impulsive. At this moment, Wolf Saint Technique and Yi Qingqian had already ended their battle. The two of them panted heavily, mixed in with Yi Qingqian's tender panting, praising the Wolf Saint method to be awesome. You're still here? Wolf Xingfa seemed to have just realized that the dean was still kneeling at the side. His face darkened. Do you want me to dig your eyes out? The dean trembled in fear. I didn't see anything. I've been waiting for Lord Saint Technique to give me the next task. The Wolf Sacred Technique still wanted to say something, but his chest was caressed by a soft and boneless little hand. Lord Sacred Technique, why bother with him? Who is your woman? I don't think he has the guts to look. This touch made the Wolf Saint Technique feel something again. Chapter 13:18. The dean replied in a trembling voice. South Continent's Blaze Lair, have you heard of it? Wolf Saint Magic asked again. Director, yes I have. Wolf Saint Magic replied. Recently, there was some movement in the Blaze Lair. South Continent's Imperial Tutor prophesied that there would be a divine object descending into the world. South Continent's major forces swarmed over, but no one came back alive. Director suddenly understood something. What Lord Saint Magic means is, Lord is about to break the seal, and the demand for souls is increasing. Wolf Saint Magic said faintly. Director knelt on the ground and kowtowed. I understand. This lowly one will definitely handle this matter beautifully, and won't give Lord Saint Law any more trouble. Wolf Saint Magic's nature was flourishing from Yi Qing Qian's teasing. After giving his instructions, he casually waved his hand and suppressed Yi Qing Qian once again. Director immediately got up and retreated to the door as if he had received the order. Director closed the second-floor door and patted his chest as he took a deep breath. He wiped the cold sweat off his head and was about to leave. Suddenly his footsteps paused and his nose sniffed. It seemed there was a familiar smell. Before he could think deeper, he heard Yi Qing Qian's coquettish voice coming from the second floor of the library pavilion. He shrank his neck and quickened his footsteps. That smell should be Guardian Hu's smell. It was better for him to leave earlier. Otherwise, if Wolf Saint Magic knew that he was standing at the door, he would probably think that he had some special feelings for Guardian Hu. After Director's figure disappeared from the library pavilion, the two figures who were hiding in the dark returned to the door. Yi Qing Luo looked at the direction where Director left, and a trace of coldness appeared in her eyes. At this critical juncture, Wolf Saint Magic could still bring Yi Qing Qian to roam freely here. Didn't Dmo Xian ask the Imperial Palace's disciples to destroy Wolf Saint Magic's forces using the dark forces as an excuse? Could it be? What new ideas did the dark forces come up with to contend against the Imperial Palace? No wonder. That day, Tang Beiyuan wanted to ask Dmo Xian to return to the Imperial Palace. No wonder. She didn't see Dmo Xian around when she woke up this morning. Did he rush back to settle this matter? Southern Continent's exchange meet. Blaze Lair. They wanted to use the exchange to lure the students of the various academies to the Flame Nest. After which, the souls of all the students would be sacrificed to the King of Darkness. To the outside world, they could declare, those students had died in the fire nest. That was a good idea. Girl, it's time to go back. The ghost doctor's expression was extremely gloomy. He had probably overheard the conversation between the Wolf Saint Magic and the Dean. Both of them had guessed the purpose of the Holy Wolf technique. The ghost doctor probably wanted to discuss this matter with God Pirate. Yi Qing Luo nodded her head. Hearing this news, Yi Qing Luo naturally didn't think of applying for leave from the director. However, she would not leave so easily. At the very least, he had to let Yi Qing Jian taste the bitterness. Death. It wasn't scary. What was terrifying was that Yi Qing Qian would rather die than live. Yi Qing Luo's slender fingers flicked the profound phoenix ring. He took out a bamboo tube that was about the length and size of a finger. The other hand was holding a medicine bottle. He unscrewed the cap, put the bamboo tube into the bottle, and twisted it twice. Picking up the bamboo tube, she blew the medicinal powder towards the second story of the library pavilion. After doing this, Yi Qing Luo then took out a handkerchief and wrapped the bamboo tube. Let's go. The ghost doctor looked at Yi Qing Luo with a strange expression. As an elder-grade alchemist, he just took a whiff and guessed what medicine it was. He couldn't understand. A young lady. Chapter 1319. This medicine was made up of hundreds of extremely potent medicinal herbs which could make one boil and be in heat were refined. The effect of this medicine was extremely strong. Yi Qing Luo named this medicine ecstasy powder. Just a little bit of it. Men would always maintain this hot-blooded state at all times. And the more boiling, the more energetic they were. So energetic that even if there were 5 to 6 women at the same time, they wouldn't feel tired at all. Of course, this kind of boiling spirit, under the condition of being in heat at all times, the woman who was slept with would be miserable. This medicine had no effect on the man's early stage. But under the premise of the man being affected by the ecstasy powder, the woman who had sex with the man would be miserable. The side effects of this medicine would slowly be transferred to the woman's body through the sex, spreading throughout her internal organs. In less than a month's time, this woman's internal organs would dry up and she would die. Even if the doctor came to check her pulse, or to dissect the corpse, they could only find out. The woman would die of old organs on the spot, and the man who was affected by the ecstasy powder would unscrupulously overdraft his own energy in this 1 month. Finally, he would die on the woman. Furthermore, Yiqing Luo was very curious. If Wolf Saint technique was bewitched by this medicine and went crazy to forcefully take over Yiqing Qian, would Yiqing Qian split open again, like the last time Leng Feng Hua was in the Imperial Garden, bleeding profusely? Of course, if Wolf Saint technique really loved Yiqing Qian, no matter what, he would bear with the ecstasy powder's effect for Yiqing Qian, to avoid being too intimate with her. With a status like Wolf Saint technique, he could have as many women as he wanted, just a wave of his hand was enough. Of course, this depended on whether Wolf Saint technique's willpower was strong enough. This depended on whether Yiqing Qian was willing to let Wolf Saint technique find other women to settle. Most importantly, they were so crazy now. Could Yiqing Qian still walk out of the second story of the library pavilion? Yiqing Luo was looking forward to the next show. After leaving the academy, Ghost Doctor's gaze towards Yiqing Luo was extremely strange. It made Yiqing Luo's hair stand on end. She raised her hands in surrender. Master Ghost Doctor, ask whatever you want to ask. Don't look at me like that. That medicine, how did you get it? Moreover, there were a few medicinal herbs that even he couldn't ask about. The attention of the Ghost Doctor, who was obsessed with refining medicine, was completely attracted by this medicinal herb. Give me that medicine bottle. Yiqing Luo's expression turned strange as she looked suspiciously at Ghost Doctor. Master Ghost Doctor, you're already so old, using medicine to raise your own physical strength. Isn't it a little too much? Speaking of this, Yiqing Luo paused for a moment. Seeing that the Ghost Doctor's expression was becoming darker and darker, she hugged her head and softly admitted defeat. Master Ghost Doctor, if you really want this type of medicine, I'll specially refine a pill for you some other day. At least it won't harm your body. Take out the medicine. The Ghost Doctor couldn't take it anymore. His white brows trembled. Yiqing Luo pouted as she retrieved the bottle of ecstasy powder from the profound phoenix ring. The Ghost Doctor snatched it away and stuffed it into his sleeves. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched. Do you need to be so robber? In the past, she was the one who snatched other people's things without saying a word. Now that it was her turn to be snatched, she didn't dare to voice out her anger. This feeling was really aggrieved. Seeing Ghost Doctor holding the medicine bottle, not even turning his head back as he walked towards the direction of the villa. Chapter 1320. Ghost Doctor directly ignored Yiqing Luo's howls, and in a blink of an eye, he had already blended into the night. Yiqing Luo touched the red veil on her face. She'd better return to Shi family's residence to rest first, and go to the academy tomorrow morning to apply for leave from the director. Just as she was about to raise her hand and pull down the veil, the wind brought along a strange smell. Her ears twitched, and indeed heard the sound of something breaking through the air. Her expression sunk slightly, and her figure swiftly stretched out. An enchanting red dress, in the night, drew an alluring arc. That red remnant shadow seemed to have added a beautiful shadow to the night. Bam! A loud sound was heard. The place where Yiqing Luo was standing earlier instantly collapsed into a deep pit. The surrounding dust flew up, and in that deep pit, a sharp arrow could be faintly seen. Arrow! Someone wanted to kill her. Yiqing Luo stared at that arrow which was stuck into the ground. Its tail was still shaking as she squinted her eyes. Before she could ponder deeply, someone had already submitted the answer, only to hear an extremely familiar voice coming from the darkness. That tone was filled with thick hatred and anger. I just heard that little slut Yiqing Luo's voice over there. Go and search. Go and search. When he mentioned Yiqing Luo's name, Yiqing Luo could hear the sound of teeth grinding in these 3 words. There was a feeling of wanting to tear her into pieces and skin her alive. Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she stopped her footwork. She directly crossed her arms and stood on the original spot. With a smile which didn't look like a smile, she looked towards the direction where the voice was getting nearer. From the alley, 10 overkillers with bows and arrows walked out. And behind the 10 overkillers stood a middle-aged man who was bent over in battle. He pushed a wheeled chair, which was similar to a modern wheelchair. On that chair sat a lady with a pale face, like a ferocious ghost. This person was none other than Shangguan Liuli. Ever since the day before yesterday, her profound jade heart was dug out by Yiqing Luo. She had completely lost her status in the Shangguan family. A waste without a profound jade heart. The Shangguan family didn't need her at all. Shangguan Liuli had completely become an abandoned chess piece. Even her own brother, Shangguan Fangyi, had no intention of saving her. He only gave her enough money to live the rest of her life without worrying about food and clothing. He also agreed to send her to the Shangguan outer sex side courtyard tomorrow, so that she could live the rest of her life in peace. Shangguan outer sex side courtyard. What kind of place is that? That was the place where the Shangguan family's sinful slaves, good-for-nothings, or young masters and ladies who had committed crimes had been distributed over the years. She was the most favored fifth daughter of the Shangguan family. Why would he go to the outer sex side courtyard? This was basically asking her to die. She would never go. Shangguan Liuli had placed all the blame on Yiqing Luo for her fate falling to such a state. It was Yiqing Luo who caused her to lose everything. It was Yiqing Luo who turned her from the glorious fifth miss into a wastrel. Hence, he held on to the belief that even if he died, he would drag Yiqing Luo into hell together with him. Shangguan Liuli gave the money that Shangguan Fangyi had given her to the Hall of Assassins. 10,000 gold coins in exchange for 17 killers, 2 gold medal assassins, and 15 silver medal assassins. These were enough to make Yiqing Luo die without a burial ground. When she saw Shangguan Liuli, Yiqing Luo's half-squinted eyes revealed a chilly smile. Good fellow. She came just in time. She was feeling extremely depressed right now. When she saw Yiqing Qian, she had no choice but to rush up without any hesitation to seek revenge for her injured brothers. This anger was still stuck in her chest with nowhere to vent it out. Shangguan Liuli appeared. TSK. Chapter 1321. Yiqing Luo. Shangguan Liuli gritted her teeth as she shouted Yiqing Luo's name. You slut! It's all because of you. All because of you. You caused me to become like this. I'm going to kill you. Her eyes were filled with madness as she called out to the killers beside her. Kill her. Kill her for me. These killers were all well trained, but they couldn't help but felt some displeasure towards this employer. Most of their daily work was done on their own. They had the habit of checking on their targets. Then they would take action under the circumstances where no one knew. But this crazy Shangguan family's fifth miss, no matter what they investigated, or where they went, she would follow behind them. To put it nicely, she wanted to see Yiqing Luo die in front of her. Hence, a group of killers brought along a waste and wandered around. Their efficiency was also reduced by half. Especially this waste, there was a hole in her brain. The hole was filled with sh*t. Earlier, these killers were checking on the academy's entrance, checking on when Yiqing Luo would return to the academy. Coincidentally, they heard Yiqing Luo's voice. This waste with a hole in her brain was clamoring for them to take action. Taking action secretly, and not hitting the target. So forget it. But this waste with a hole in her brain was clamoring towards Yiqing Luo. They were killers. Their information network was the best. The news of Yiqing Luo having a divine relic, divine dragon and sacred beast, they knew about it too. Going head-to-head might end up in a miserable state. However, the killer's inner roars could not be transmitted to this waste with a hole in her brain. When Shangguan Liuli saw Yiqing Luo, she only saw Yiqing Luo in her eyes. Her entire brain could only be stuffed with Yiqing Luo. She didn't want to bother about anything else, and couldn't be bothered. At most, she would self-explode and perish together with Yiqing Luo. Such a stubborn employer, who sent herself to death without any hesitation. These killers had no way to defy her. After accepting the mission, for the sake of the killer hall's reputation and credibility, even if the employer had a hole in her brain, they had to brace themselves and listen to the employer's instructions. Yiqing Luo's lips curled as her fingertips flicked, and a flame fan appeared in her hands. It was her newly repaired glower flame fan. She could use these people to test how powerful the gourd flame fan, which had merged with her soul, was. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into a chilly arc as her cold gaze fell onto Shangguan Liuli. Shangguan Liuli, I didn't expect you to be so trustworthy. You took the initiative to look for me so quickly to let me break your meridians? Shangguan Liuli's face instantly darkened, and her gaze became ruthless. Don't be too proud. I want to see if your life will be taken away first, or if my meridians will be severed. What she and Yiqing Luo had agreed on was a blood oath. A blood oath sworn by blood. The loser would never be able to escape the bet. Even if she went to the outer sect, the blood oath that she and Yiqing Luo had set would still backfire and complete the bet that they had set. Moreover, it would make her suffer endless pain. Because of this, that was why Shangguan Liuli was so desperate. Even if she had to die, she would drag Yiqing Luo along with her. Under Shangguan Liuli's command, the killers surrounded and attacked Yiqing Luo's direction. The surging dark force covered the sky and covered the earth. The killer hall's killers were indeed specially trained. 2 gold medal killers. Their profound grades were at least Mystic Profound 8th grade and Earth Profound 2nd grade. The other silver medal killers' abilities weren't weak at all. The more sinister thing was, the few of them directly trapped Yiqing Luo, not giving her any chance to release her profound energy. Chapter 1322. If it was an ordinary person, under the rain of arrows, they would absolutely not have the ability to evade. But Yiqing Luo was different. Although she was trapped by the few killers, and had no way to display her fists and legs, but she had her own set of footwork. As she moved swiftly, not only did she avoid the rain of arrows, she also escaped the killer's encirclement. Her figure was like a ghost, and at the instant when she retreated, the glower flame fan in her hands swept up a hurricane as it struck towards the killers. That hurricane was totally different from the usual hurricane. When the hurricane struck one of the killers, the killer cried out miserably as his body fell limply onto the ground. The other killers were stunned by this scene. Their gazes were fixed on that killer. A sense of fear was born in their hearts towards the hurricane that Yiqing Luo casually set off. SSSSS. A sound as though something was being torn apart was heard. Everyone's gazes turned towards the direction of the sound. Then they saw. That originally limp corpse was like a fountain as thin lines of blood gushed out from its body. Even those killers who were used to killing scenes, and whose hands were stained with blood, were stunned by this strange scene. Just as the assassins looked at the corpse that was covered in blood, and was still gushing out like a fountain, a shrill scream rang out. Not knowing when, Yiqing Luo had broken through those killers' array, and circled to Shangguan Liuli's back. The feather fan flipped around her fingertips. A dagger slid out from the handle of the fan, as it stuck to housekeeper Shangguan's neck. Soundlessly, it took away housekeeper Shangguan's life. And at the next instance, Yiqing Luo's dagger, which was stained with blood, was already on Shangguan Liuli's neck. She didn't use much strength, just stuck to her neck. They could see the open wound on her neck and the blood oozing out. As it blended with the blood on the dagger, Shangguan Liuli's entire body turned stiff, as she didn't dare to move at all. Unbelievable. Yiqing Luo was actually able to get close to her silently and kill housekeeper Shangguan, under the situation where the gold medal killers were obstructing her. Gold medal killers. 2 gold medal killers. It was because of these 2 gold medal killers that Shangguan Liuli could be so unbridled. But these 2 experienced killers were the top 50 gold medal killers in the killer hall. He couldn't even touch the hem of Yiqing Luo's clothes. Yiqing Luo, you. Although she kept saying that she was going to die sooner or later after living in such a state, Gu Shizhou had no choice but to accept her fate. She was no longer afraid of death. But at the brink of death, Shangguan Liuli's heart still surged with a sense of fear. The coldness on his neck brought with it the feeling of sticky blood. The thick smell of blood filled her nose. Shangguan Liuli felt like vomiting. Don't be afraid, I'm just here To complete our bet, I won't kill you. Yi Qing Luo's smiling voice was close to his ear. That laughter was sweet and pleasant. However, in Shangguan Liuli's ears, it was a voice from hell. Bet. Isn't that? He wanted to break her tendons and veins? Shangguan Liuli's face suddenly turned pale. Before he could open his mouth to beg for mercy, he felt a sharp pain in his arm. At some point, the dagger that was pressed against her neck had moved to her arm. It was just a gentle stroke. Fresh blood gushed out. Shangguan Liuli clearly felt that something in her arm seemed to have broken. A burst of tearing pain made her cry out miserably. Those killers speedily closed in on Yi Qing Luo as they surrounded her. She heard that chilly voice as it rang indifferently. My target is only Shangguan Liuli alone. I didn't make a move because I don't want to go against the killer hall. If you insist on doing this mission, then don't blame the world group for not showing any mercy. Chapter 1323. The Hall of Assassins had a resounding reputation in the Nirvana realm. There were branches of the Hall of Assassins in all 4 continents. If it was possible, Yi Qing Luo didn't want to have any conflict with the killer hall. To be precise, none of the mercenary groups wanted to have a conflict with the Hall of Assassins. Of course, even if Yi Qing Luo were to kill these killers now, the Hall of Assassins would not go against the World Mercenary Group indiscriminately. After all, the Hall of Assassins had accepted the assassination. Yi Qing Luo's retaliation was also a legitimate self-defense. But now, Yi Qing Luo had given the assassin hall enough face by saying these words. The killers naturally didn't doubt Yi Qing Luo's ability. Earlier, Yi Qing Luo only moved her fan slightly and easily took away a killer's life. Without anyone noticing, he had quietly gotten close to Shangguan Liuli and killed the Shangguan housekeeper. It was enough to prove that as long as Yi Qing Luo made a move, killing all of them wasn't a big problem at all. The few killers looked at each other in dismay, as though trying to guess the meaning behind Yi Qing Luo's words. The 2 gold medal assassins exchanged the most glances. I am your employer. I spent a lot of money to hire you. If you all dare to defy the Assassin Hall's mission orders, I'll announce to the entire world that your Assassin Hall doesn't abide by credibility. Shangguan Liuli was not a fool. At this moment, how could she possibly allow Yi Qing Luo to join forces with the killer hall to counterattack her? The expressions under the masks of the assassins changed in different ways. Each of them had their own thoughts. These people from the Hall of Assassins were usually very straightforward and decisive, killing as they pleased. They would not waste time going around in circles with their employers and mission targets. However, the situation today was different. How would a dead person announce it to the world? Yi Qing Luo laughed softly. She slowly lowered her head and moved closer to Shangguan Liuli's ear. Her voice was so strange that it sent chills down one's spine. The well-trained killers of the Hall of Assassins are not fools. As long as I kill you, not only will the Hall of Assassins obtain all of your coins for free, but they will also be able to make another friend. Why not? Although these words were said to ridicule Shangguan Liuli, in fact he was speaking to the dozen or so assassins. Making friends with the World Mercenary Group was secondary. Most importantly, to be friends with Yi Qing Luo. To be friends with Yi Qing Luo, who possessed a god relic, divine dragon and sacred beast. Perhaps he could follow Yi Qing Luo's line and climb up to the Supreme Overlord? There were so many benefits. Why would he risk his life for this mission? Immediately, a gold medal assassin cupped his fists and said, "Sorry for the offense." With a flash, he disappeared into the night. The other killers naturally did not stubbornly adhere to the so-called professional ethics. Each of them waved their sleeves, not taking away a single cloud. Shangguan Liuli's body turned cold and stiff. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she looked in the direction the killers had left. The assassins of the Hall of Assassins really left? They actually abandoned their employer and fled? Meeting with Yi Qing Luo's smiling eyes, Shangguan Liuli's entire body turned stiff. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Could it be? The reason why he came to look for Yi Qing Luo today was to personally deliver himself into her hands? No, that's not it. She wanted to perish together with Yi Qing Luo. Looking at Yi Qing Luo's complacent smile, Shangguan Liuli's eyes instantly shot out an intense murderous intent. Her eyes turned red as she suddenly raised her remaining hand and pressed hard against her own heart. Yi Qing Luo, let's go to hell together. Chapter 1324. Yi Qing Luo was slightly astonished as her brows rose slightly, revealing a teasing smile. She had not expected Shangguan Liuli to use her own life to gamble. Trying to self-explode and drag her to die together? How could she let Shangguan Liuli die so easily? Shangguan Liuli felt her heart was getting hotter and hotter as it expanded, as though it was going to squeeze her chest open. There was no longer any fear on her face. On the contrary, it was that kind of bone-chilling excitement. The excitement of facing death. As long as she thought that Yi Qing Luo would die together with her, she didn't care about anything else. Just as her heart was about to explode, Shangguan Liuli's arm suddenly felt a sharp pain. Her swollen heart seemed to have been poked through a hole as it deflated instantly. What was going on? Shangguan Liuli's expression was aghast as she looked down at her own heart. How could this self-detonation stop? She clearly felt her heart expanding. What a pity. A chilly laughter rang beside her ears. Yi Qing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly as she glanced at her with a faint smile. Poor little fellow, your self-explosion trick has been exposed. What other ways do you have to kill me? Yi Qing Luo smiled brightly. Her smile was like a blooming flower, exceedingly beautiful. However, the dagger that slid out from her fan handle was doing something completely different from her expression. The sharp dagger shone with a silver luster. One stab at a time, carefully and slowly cutting Shangguan Liuli's other arm. Tendons severed. Shangguan Liuli cried out miserably as her arms hung limply by the side of the chair. Next, it's your two legs' turn. Yi Qing Luo's voice was gentle as her smile was like an innocent young lady. The dagger in her hand followed along Shangguan Liuli's arm, as the tip of the dagger pressed against her body, slowly sliding downwards. The icy cold touch made Shangguan Liuli not dare to move. Earlier when she self-exploded without any fear. At this moment, her tensed-up emotions completely relaxed. She was afraid. She was afraid. She didn't want to die. She didn't want to die in front of Yi Qing Luo. The shrill screams made it impossible for Shangguan Liuli to think about anything else. She felt a sharp pain in her legs, as if something sharp had pierced through them. The smell of blood in the air was getting thicker and thicker. I cut the wrong place. Yi Qing Luo cried out in surprise. I'm really sorry, I don't quite understand the tendons and meridians on the feet. Let's start again. Wrong again. Why is it so difficult to find the veins in your leg? TSK. Wrong again. This lasted for the time it took to brew a cup of tea. Both of Shangguan Liuli's legs were already covered with bloody holes. Yi Qing Luo withdrew her feather fan and wiped her sweat. Finally cut off the tendons on your leg. It's really not easy. Shangguan Liuli screamed in pain, her voice hoarse. The pain in her body, and the feeling of losing blood, caused her to be in extreme pain. Shangguan Liuli screamed at the top of her lungs. You killed me. Kill me if you can. Just kill me. She would rather die than suffer such torture. So painful. So painful that she didn't even have the energy to bite her tongue to commit suicide. Our bet has come to a successful end. Yi Qing Luo yawned, and was about to say something. Chapter 1325. These words made Shangguan Liuli's chest constricted. A mouthful of blood gushed out from her throat. Would Yi Qing Luo let her off? Would Yi Qing Luo be so kind to send her back to the Shangguan family? How could that be possible? She wouldn't believe it. Shangguan Liuli suppressed the surging fishy taste in her throat as her eyes were like a ferocious ghost as she stared fiercely at Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo, I will not let you off even if I become a ghost. I will not let you off. That voice was filled with hatred and resentment. Yi Qing Luo's brows rose slightly as her lips curled into an elegant smile as she squinted at her. Then you should at least have the chance to become a ghost. Shangguan Liuli's expression congealed as her pupils were filled with fear. What do you want to do? No chance to become a ghost? Could it be? Yiqing Luo wouldn't even let her soul off? It's not what I want to do, but you yourself gave up your own soul. Yiqing Luo raised her brows as she explained patiently. Shangguan Liuli shook her head in disbelief. But Yiqing Luo's melodious voice entered her ears like water flowing into her eardrums. You should know the price of cooperating with the dark forces. You used your own soul to exchange for the dark forces' energy. I thought that after you lost the interclass competition, the dark forces would directly take away your soul. I'm rather surprised that you're still alive until now. As she said that, Yiqing Luo bent down as she held the glower flame fan and lifted Shangguan Liuli's lower jaw. Tell me, why didn't the dark forces make a move on you? Shangguan Liuli's face turned pale in an instant. Her body also began to tremble. She knew. Of course she knew. The condition of cooperating with the dark forces was to use her own soul to exchange. But, other than that, the dark forces needed something more important than the soul. The dark forces chose her because of that thing. To be able to live till now, it was probably because of that thing. Shangguan Liuli raised her eyes as she stared at Yiqing Luo, with a pair of bloodshot eyes which were filled with hatred. Suddenly, she grinned as she gave out a maniacal laugh. Beg me. Beg me. If I'm happy, I might tell you. Heh, Yiqing Luo sneered. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. Even if you beg me, I might not be happy and let you off. Her words had just ended when Yiqing Luo casually waved her hand. A hurricane rushed towards Shangguan Liuli. Shangguan Liuli's body was instantly swept up by the hurricane. Drops of blood flowed down his body and dripped onto the ground. Ah! A painful and shrill scream came from Shangguan Liuli. The hurricane that was stirred up was like a sharp blade. When it swept across Shangguan Liuli's body, it felt as if thousands of sharp blades were cutting into her body. His skin had already been slashed with countless scarlet wounds. Shiju. Yiqing Luo called out softly. A huge leopard beast appeared out of thin air. Under the night sky, his shiny black fur seemed to blend in with the night sky. His eyes were as deep as night pearls, like bright lanterns, especially eye-catching. Roar! Shiju growled in a low voice. Shangguan Liuli was overwhelmed with shock. Yiqing Luo! Yiqing Luo! What are you trying to do? Yiqing Luo wanted to let the war pet eat her up? This thought made Shangguan Liuli tremble in fear. She would rather Yiqing Luo give her a stab, to cut off all her pain. Chapter 1326. Hold her in your mouth. Yiqing Luo calmly gave the order. Shiju's figure was like the wind, and in the blink of an eye, it had caught Shangguan Liuli, who was swept up in the air by the hurricane, and held her in its mouth. Its sharp teeth shone with a piercingly cold light under the moonlight. Shangguan Liuli screamed. The rich smell of blood stimulated Shiju to swallow its saliva continuously. He licked Shangguan Liuli with his tongue. Shangguan Liuli's screams grew more and more shrill. Yiqing Luo, you can't do this. It can't eat me. If it eats me, it will violate the rules of battle pets. Perhaps she was frightened by Shiju's tongue. Shangguan Liuli didn't know where she got the strength from, but she kept struggling. The wounds on his body also split open due to the struggle. The blood that oozed out instantly filled Shiju's mouth. Shiju held Shangguan Liuli in its mouth, as it let out a low growl, and its breathing became heavier. As a carnivorous battle pet, he could not eat such a delicacy. It was too torturous for a beast. Shiju! Yiqing Luo cried out sharply, awakening Shiju's consciousness. She beckoned to it. Shiju resisted the impulse in his heart, as he speedily dashed towards Yiqing Luo's side. A lady who was drenched in blood, and kept on struggling due to fear, landed in front of Yiqing Luo at a close distance. That pair of eyes, which had already been dyed red with blood, met with Yiqing Luo's peerless beauty, as Shangguan Liuli stopped struggling. She stared at Yiqing Luo in terror, as her heart was filled with anger, hatred and resentment. But at this moment his greatest feeling was fear. If she had to drag Yiqing Luo to die together with her, she wouldn't even bat an eyelid. But if she was tortured by Yiqing Luo to the point of living a life worse than death, she was afraid. Yiqing Luo was simply a devil. A demon who killed without spilling blood. At this moment, Shangguan Liuli saw a smile on Yiqing Luo's face. Her eyes widened in horror. He tried to move away, but Shiju's sharp teeth firmly bit her. Yiqing Luo's fingers pinched a tiny pill as she placed it by the side of Shangguan Liuli's mouth. No matter how Shangguan Liuli resisted, in the end, this small pill still entered Shangguan Liuli's stomach. What did you give me to eat? Shangguan Liuli's voice was hoarse as she screamed and wanted to vomit out the pill. Yiqing Luo only smiled. A pair of enchanting eyes glowed with a seductive luster under the night sky. Her pink lips slightly opened, and her voice was calm and indifferent. Shiju, take her to the Warcraft forest and throw her to the 3rd or 4th floor. Watch her being eaten until not even her bones are left, and then come back to me. Shiju blinked its huge eyes. Don't even think about stealing it. If I find out that you have eaten human flesh, I will not hesitate to drive you back to your mother's side. Yiqing Luo's next sentence made the radiance in Shiju's eyes dim down. Roar! Shiju responded in a low voice. No matter how delicious human flesh was, it couldn't compare to being able to follow the owner. Holding Shangguan Liuli in its mouth, Shiju moved its limbs and dashed towards the direction of the magical beast forest. Shangguan Liuli's screams gradually drifted away. Yiqing Luo only retracted her gaze when the voice disappeared completely. She pulled out a handkerchief and carefully wiped the blood stains on the dagger. Looking at the dagger, which was glowing brightly once again, she then kept the glower flame fan properly. Following that, her charming eyes fixated on a certain spot in the darkness. Her gaze was calm, without any trace of emotion. How much longer do you want to peek? A chilly voice dispersed along with the wind. Under the night sky, a crimson figure walked out from the darkness. A crimson-colored brocade robe wrapped tightly around the young man's slender and tall figure. As the young man neared, the air seemed to be condensed, as though it was frozen by frost. Chapter 1327. Long time no see, Castle Lord. Yiqing Luo looked at the young man in front of her, as she said with a smile. This man wasn't anyone else. He was Death God Castle's Castle Lord, Zhuwu Exan. Yiqing Luo discovered him squatting at the corner of the wall because of his eye-catching shade of crimson. Or perhaps, Zhuwu Exan intentionally let her discover his existence. So Yiqing Luo temporarily stopped the torture on Shangguan Liuli. Speaking of this, Shangguan Liuli had to thank Zhuwu Exan for not letting her suffer such inhumane torture before she died. If Shangguan Liuli knew what Yiqing Luo was thinking about, she would probably vomit out a mouthful of blood, making her be eaten up by the battle pets. Wasn't this considered torture? Young Miss Yi has good methods. Zhuwu Exan's icy cold face was expressionless. His voice was as usual, apathetic and emotionless. Yiqing Luo knew that he was referring to the matter where she dealt with Shangguan Liuli. She didn't know how long Zhuwu Exan squatted at the corner of the wall, and how much he saw. Yiqing Luo couldn't be bothered to hide as her brows rose in interest. Don't tell me Castle Lord feels that I'm too vicious? You are indeed vicious and merciless. You fed that woman a pill to maintain her consciousness, right? Zhu Wuxin said coldly. Yiqing Luo only smiled as she didn't admit nor deny it. The pill which she fed Shangguan Liuli was indeed a pill to maintain her consciousness. That medicinal effect would last till the end of Shangguan Liuli's life. Before she died, even if she was dismembered by the magical beasts, Shangguan Liuli's body would be bitten into pieces by the magical beasts. Shangguan Liuli wouldn't die, nor would she faint from the intense pain. She would only feel clearly how her body was being torn apart, how she entered the magical beast's teeth. Yiqing Luo's smile was filled with a chilly intent. Since Castle Lord also feels that I'm vicious, then why bother me? Zhuwu Exan didn't reply. Using that pair of clear eyes, he stared at her face without blinking. Suddenly his figure moved. Before Yiqing Luo could react, a chilly breath sprayed onto her face. The cold touch touched her face. Yiqing Luo knitted her brows tightly and was about to release her profound qi to counterattack. But she felt his fingers constantly groping the side of her face. His gaze was fixed on her face, as if he was searching for something. Yiqing Luo's resistance stopped. Her brows were still tightly knitted. Are you suspecting that I have disguised myself? The man's fingers that were constantly exploring the outline paused, and he said in a low voice, "I can't rule out this possibility." The two of them were very close to each other. As Zhu Wuxin spoke, his warm breath landed on her face. "Then did you find it?" Yiqing Luo turned her face away unnaturally. She wasn't used to being stained with a man's aura other than DMO Xian's. Zhu Wuxin gazed deeply at her. His sharp and cold gaze met hers for several breaths of time. Then he let go of her. Yiqing Luo immediately took a few steps back and patted her own body. "Your face is real." She wasn't sure if it was Yiqing Luo's misconception. She felt that Zhu Wuxin's voice had become much gentler when he said this. His aura wasn't as cold as ice like before. This change was because he had confirmed the authenticity of her face? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she sized Zhu Wuxin up carefully. She was silently guessing in her heart. This Zhu Wuxin seemed to know her, and they were very familiar with each other. Now, he had come to confirm the authenticity of her face. Could it be? Chapter 1328. Something wasn't right. She had taken over this body for such a long time. She had long become one with this body. In her memories, there was no such person named Zhu Wu Xian. For a man with such a strong presence like Zhu Wu Xian, if she had met him before, how could she not recognize him? Had Zhu Wu Xian remembered wrongly? Or had she really forgotten about Zhu Wu Xian? Seeing Yiqing Luo remaining silent, Zhu Wu Xian's gloomy gaze was fixated on her eyes, as though he was trying to find out some information from her gaze. Their eyes met, and after some time, Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she gave a teasing smile. "I'm so sorry to disappoint Castle Lord. The one who has this face is a vicious and merciless woman." Following that, a cold intent flowed past her charming eyes. She smiled faintly. "So Castle Lord, don't be affected by this face of mine." Saying that, she turned around and strode into the night. Her red dress was as enchanting as a blooming rose. As she walked, it was as though she was a raging flame. As she drew an arc in the air like the setting sun, momentarily, it dyed Zhu Wu Xian's clear eyes red. The expression on his face at this instance had some changes. He fixed his gaze on Yiqing Luo's departing figure, until Yiqing Luo was about to disappear. That serene and cold voice floated into Yiqing Luo's ears along with the wind. "If you want to live on, being vicious and merciless is a necessary method. You're not wrong." Yiqing Luo's footsteps halted. When she turned back, that crimson figure had already disappeared. That sentence of his, what did it mean? Was he finding an excuse for her vicious and merciless actions? Although that was what he said, but his tone was filled with helplessness and a tinge of desolation. What was he trying to do? Did he feel that she would be able to live better in this world in this way? Or did he feel that the current her and the one in his memories was different? Just as she was searching for those memories of herself and Zhu Wu Xian, her waist suddenly tightened as an elegant sandalwood scent entered her nostrils. Warmth instantly enveloped her petite body. Yiqing Luo's body stiffened, and after she felt the familiar embrace, she softened. Before she could even open her mouth, her body was forcefully straightened, facing the man. An overbearing and forceful kiss landed on her lips. This kiss seemed to be asking for something urgently, scorching and overbearing, making Yiqing Luo unable to catch her breath. "Xian!" Yiqing Luo's muffled voice spilled out from her entwined lips. "You, how?" What responded to her was an even more intense kiss. Not knowing how long had passed, Yiqing Luo felt dizzy and her body turned soft like a puddle of water before Dmo Xian stopped this suffocating kiss. She leaned against his chest, gasping for air. The powerful arm around her waist tightened even more. "Xian!" She gasped lightly as she called out Dmo Xian's name. Beside her ears, the sound of the man's heavy breathing came wave after wave. The scorching air hit her skin. After hugging for a long time, Yiqing Luo's breathing finally adjusted. She lifted her head, her eyes still containing a hint of seduction. When she met with that pair of peach blossom eyes which seemed to bear all the tenderness in the world, Yiqing Luo's heart trembled fiercely. She looked at his eyes in a daze, as though she had already sunk into that peach blossom forest, unable to extricate herself. Other than me, you're not allowed to think of any other man. Chapter 1329. Was he jealous? He had heard the conversation between her and Zhu Wuxan earlier. Yiqing Luo's brows overflowed with a smile as she cupped his face with both hands. Xian, you're too overbearing. The man's brows rose slightly. Can't I be overbearing towards my own woman? All right. Yiqing Luo laughed as she fell into his arms as her little head rubbed against his chest like a kitten. I like Xian's overbearingness. After some time, there was no response from the man. She raised her eyes in puzzlement as she met Dmo Xian's slightly blushing face. She was stunned as though she had discovered a new continent as her eyes widened. Her curious hands cupped his face tightly, as she wanted to take a closer look. Dmo Xian's large palm, however, held her two little hands in his palm. Forcefully and overbearingly, he pressed her head into his arms. That boiling hot chest, that heart which kept on beating rapidly, scorched Yiqing Luo's face. Yiqing Luo lay in his arms in a daze, not struggling at all. Did she see wrongly? Earlier Dmo Xian was shy. The Dmo Xian who teased her till her pink bubbles were about to swell. Teased her till her amorous heart was in turmoil. Teasing her till she didn't want it anymore. He actually felt shy. Because of a sentence from her, he felt shy? Was she seeing things or her eyes twitched? You're interested in Zhu Wuxian. A low hoarse voice floated from above her head. His voice was tense, as though he was anxiously trying to change the topic. But this indeed made Yiqing Luo shift her gaze. After all, taking the opportunity when Dmo Xian was shy, to tease him or something. This thought was not valid. She was totally sure. Once she took the opportunity to tease Dmo Xian, she would absolutely not tease Dmo Xian till his pink bubbles were about to swell, and would not tease Dmo Xian till his amorous heart was in turmoil. On the contrary, she would once again be teased by Dmo Xian, shouting, Don't. Without a doubt, the ending would definitely become like this. Hence, Yiqing Luo obediently followed Dmo Xian's topic, denying flatly, no. Staring at his departing figure with a pensive look, you're still saying no. Her nose was pinched harshly by his fingers. Dmo Xian's expression was unfriendly. His hand even touched your face. Cough. Yiqing Luo suddenly coughed out. How much did you see? Dmo Xian's expression was gloomy as he spat out word by word. From head to tail. In other words, Dmo Xian had been following behind her? Watched the entire process? Ugh. She was indeed jealous. Yiqing Luo weakly raised her little claws. I request for an explanation. Approved. Dmo Xian spat out a word. Yiqing Luo's eyelashes fluttered as she speedily explained her guess that she might know Zhu Wuxian, and Zhu Wuxian suspected that she was in disguise. He rattled off a long string of words without even taking a breath. A man soaked in a vinegar jar was very scary. Although it was clear that Dmo Xian believed that there was nothing between her and Zhu Wuxian. But even if it was nothing, he would still feel uncomfortable. Think about it from another perspective. She believed that nothing would happen between Dmo Xian and Feng Ling. But if Feng Ling kept pestering Dmo Xian, she would still feel unhappy. Hence Yiqing Luo didn't hold back, as she explained the entire sequence of events clearly. Dmo Xian's fingers brushed past the contours of her face, as he squinted his peach blossom eyes. I'm just confirming if you're in disguise or not. Yiqing Luo nodded her head like a little chick pecking rice. Chapter 1330. Yiqing Luo's lips felt extremely scorching from his slender fingers. Look, this man was flirting with her again. His flirting was so natural that it made one blush. Earlier she must have seen wrongly when she saw him being shy. His ability is above mine, and his speed is also above mine. I didn't intentionally let him touch me, so you can't blame me. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips as her eyelids drooped down. Zhu Wuxian was standing right in front of her in an instant. She didn't even have a chance to react. Furthermore, he wants to prove if I'm the real Yiqing Luo. If I don't let him personally verify that I'm not in disguise, then things will become even more complicated. Just as she was saying that, Dmo Xian's finger took the opportunity to enter her lips. So you obediently allowed his dirty hand to touch your face? The man's voice was extremely soft, revealing a sliver of dangerous aura. His low and hoarse voice gave off an intoxicating allure. Yiqing Luo felt a chill down her spine. The finger that was moving on her teeth seemed to have some magical power. Her heart started to beat faster. The blushing young lady raised her eyes slightly. A pair of bewitching eyes looked towards Dmo Xian. Then, how do you want to punish me? Under the silent night, Yiqing Luo clearly heard the man's throat making a rumbling sound. That peerless face was covered with an expression that made her blush to her ears. His gaze was naked, as though he could see through her clothes and see everything about her. Dmo Xian's long arms tightened, as he couldn't wait to rub the young lady's soft body into his body. His hoarse voice was filled with magnetism. There's still a few more days. Yiqing Luo trembled slightly. She knew what he was asking. How many more days was her menstruation period? Perhaps it was because she had been teased by Dmo Xian for a long time. Her body was already used to Dmo Xian's touch and teasing. Just sniffing his scent and listening to his voice, Yiqing Luo felt her legs turning into jelly as her entire body felt limp. She didn't get any response from the young lady. Dmo Xian's brows rose slightly as the hand which was around her waist suddenly moved downwards towards her abdomen. Not willing to say? Then I'll check personally. Just as it reached her lower abdomen, the hand was pressed down by the girl in a panic. The young girl's red face was filled with anger and humiliation. Beast! Yiqing Luo gritted her teeth and spat out. Test, test, test. What the hell are you doing? As he said that, he angrily flung Dmo Xian's hand away. They were still on the street. There was even a corpse lying on the ground. Was it really okay for him to touch her body like that? Even if he was in heat, he had to look at the place. Yiqing Luo glared at the man who had an evil smile on his face and pushed him away. Go back to the mansion. Come back tomorrow to apply for leave. Looking at the back view of Yiqing Luo leaving in a huff, Dmo Xian laughed heartily. The more she laughed, the faster Yiqing Luo left. The moment she turned around, her entire face was flushed red. She couldn't help but think to herself, if I had known that I would fall into the hands of this man, I would have done more research on seducing men in the 21st century. Then she flirted with Dmo Xian till he didn't want to. The next day, after Yiqing Luo woke up, she didn't see Dmo Xian's figure as usual. She rubbed her forehead and muttered to herself, beauty is the bane of men. Being teased left and right by Dmo Xian, she had forgotten to tell him about what she had overheard in the academy. She also forgot to ask where he had gone for the whole day. If she saw him today, she must ask clearly. Chapter 1331. After walking out of the room, the door of Yin Xiaoyi's room was already wide open. Yiqing Luo walked over. As expected, she saw Shishanglan feeding Yin Xiaoyi medicine gently. Yin Xiaoyi was drinking the medicine with a blank look. Her eyes were empty and lifeless, not knowing what she was thinking about. Shishanglan said something in a low voice, but didn't get any response from Yin Xiaoyi. But he still continued to talk. Hearing a sound from the door, Shishanglan stopped his rambling and turned his head towards the door. When he saw Yiqing Luo, he smiled warmly. Good morning, Miss Yi. Good morning. Yiqing Luo walked into the room and took a look at the medicinal soup in Shishanglan's hands. Today the academy is summoning the students back to the academy. I intend to apply for leave for them, so I'll have to trouble young Master Shi to take care of my brothers. Xiaoyi's brothers are my brothers, Miss Yi, please rest assured. Shishanglan put down the medicinal soup in his hands and smiled sincerely. Yiqing Luo's vision fell onto the medicine bowl, which was put down. A deep meaning flashed past her eyes. Shishanglan seemed to have noticed that his actions were inappropriate, as he hurriedly reached out to take that medicine bowl. Yiqing Luo's speed was faster than him. It's still early to go to the academy. I'll accompany Xiaoyi. Yiqing Luo took the medicine bowl and sat down by the bed. Shishanglan retracted his hand sensibly. I'll go take a look at the other brothers first, if there's anyone who needs my help to take care of. Shishanglan walked out of the room. Yiqing Luo didn't say a word as she silently fed Yin Xiaoyi the medicine. Yin Xiaoyi didn't seem to notice that the person feeding her the medicine had changed. She only swallowed mouthfuls of bitter medicinal soup in a daze, without even batting an eyelid. Until the bowl of medicinal soup was emptied, the two of them didn't say a single word. Yi Qingluo's vision swept to a corner outside the room. The smile at the corner of his mouth deepened. Shi Shanglan was still outside the door and hadn't left. He thought that he had concealed it well. But with Yi Qingluo's perceptive ability, she could totally sense Shi Shanglan's presence. The minute she stepped into this room, Yi Qingluo sensed that something was wrong with Shi Shanglan. For 2 consecutive mornings, Shi Shanglan had been feeding Yin Xiaoyi medicine. And earlier, when she said that she wanted to apply for leave, Shi Shanglan subconsciously put down the medicinal soup. Obviously, his mind wasn't on feeding Yin Xiaoyi the medicine. Otherwise, no matter what he heard, he would not have stopped feeding the medicine. Now that he was quietly hiding outside the door, it was obvious that he was trying to find out some information. This Shi Shanglan, there was indeed a problem. Yi Qingluo narrowed her eyes as she placed the bowl of medicine aside. Perhaps it was because the house was too quiet. If Shi Shanglan stayed any longer, he would be easily discovered. In the end, he left quietly, until Shi Shanglan's aura completely disappeared. Yi Qingluo then calmly opened her mouth. Jinzi came looking for you? When he heard the words Jinzi, his dull eyes blinked. After some time, the focal length converged onto Yi Qingluo's face. Yin Xiaoyi was stunned. Qingluo, why are you here? Yi Qingluo's slender fingers caressed that pair of obviously swollen eyes. Have you spoken to Jinzi? When he watched Yin Xiaoyi sleep last night, she was still fine. When she woke up this morning, she saw Yin Xiaoyi's red and swollen eyes, looking as though she had lost her soul. Other than Xiao Jin, there was probably no one else who could make Yin Xiaoyi reveal such an expression. Yin Xiaoyi shook her head as her head leaned towards the direction of the bed. He only wished me and Shi Shanglan happiness. The last 2 words were said with great difficulty. Yi Qingluo's lips twitched. What was Xiao Jin up to? Did he really intend to give up on Yin Xiaoyi and wish Yin Xiaoyi and Shi Shanglan happiness? Chapter 1332. At this moment, Yi Qingluo simply didn't know what to say. Yi Qingluo expressed that she really couldn't understand Xiao Jin's train of thought. He would only be satisfied if he saw Yin Xiaoyi and Shi Shanglan living happily and happily. Last night, he came to my room to check on my injuries. Yin Xiaoyi's voice was very soft, almost inaudible. After that, she laughed softly. I thought he liked me. Otherwise, why would he specially come to check on my injuries in the middle of the night? That laughter revealed obvious bitterness. Yi Qingluo's pink lips moved, but ultimately she didn't say out Xiao Jin's thoughts. There was no doubt that Xiao Jin liked Yin Xiaoyi, but he chose to give up. Just like what Dmo Xian had said. Although Xiao Jin was a timid person, but he would not go so far as to personally push the woman he liked into someone else's arms. He had his own reasons for doing so. He had his own difficulties that he couldn't tell them. Xiao Jin had many secrets on him. This was something that Yi Qingluo knew. He had his reasons for giving up on Yin Xiaoyi. As an outsider, it's not good for her to point out Xiao Jin's feelings towards Yin Xiaoyi. Perhaps, it would be more harmful to the two of them if they made things clear. Dmo Xian had specially instructed her not to interfere in their relationship. Looking at Yin Xiaoyi's sad look, Yi Qingluo couldn't bear to see her like this. His heart was in a mess. She let out a long sigh. But he said that he felt guilty because of what he did to me. He felt that he had let down my fiancé. Yin Xiaoyi's voice became increasingly broken and trembling. Haha, fiancé. I've never acknowledged Shi Shanglan as my fiancé, but he kept putting Shi Shanglan as my fiancé. Then he smiled. His smile was very sincere and filled with blessings. He asked me to live a good life with Shi Shanglan, and asked me to marry him as soon as possible. She was pushed by the man she loved to another man. This kind of pain was like a sharp knife, ruthlessly stabbing his heart. He was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. Marriage? How could she accept this? He wasn't the one they were going to marry. Yin Xiaoyi's voice was already choking. Towards the end, He was almost choking with sobs. She seemed to recall the scene last night when Xiao Jin said these words to her. Yi Qing Luo's heart ached, but she couldn't say anything to comfort her. In the end, he could only sigh helplessly. Holding a handkerchief, he bent over to wipe the tears from the corners of her eyes. At this time, it was useless to say anything else. He could only stay by her side silently. Tell her at least she is not alone. The room fell into silence. About an hour later, Long Yunjan's voice came from outside the door, telling her to return to the academy to apply for leave. Yi Qing Luo stuffed the handkerchief into Yen Xiaoyi's palm, and was just about to get up when her sleeve was tugged by Yen Xiaoyi. Startled, she turned to look at Yen Xiaoyi. Yen Xiaoyi's gaze was resolute as the corners of her mouth curled into a strange smile. Since he wishes me and Shi Shanglan, all right, I will fulfill his wish. Huh? Yi Qing Luo knitted her brows. Do you know what you're saying? I'm very calm. Yen Xiaoyi nodded calmly with a smile on her face. Feelings can't be used to act out of spite. You'll only hurt yourself in this way. Yi Qing Luo realized what Yen Xiaoyi wanted to do, and immediately dissuaded her. I know I'm very calm now. Although she said that. But Yen Xiaoyi's eyes revealed a chilly intent, with a hint of madness. Extremely shallow, totally indiscernible madness. Chapter 1333. Qing Luo, what's wrong? Outside the door, Long Yunjan's voice approached. Yi Qing Luo took a look at Yen Xiaoyi, whose eyes were red. If Long Yunjan saw Yen Xiaoyi like this, he would definitely ask for the reason. After asking for the reason, it would be especially awkward. Yi Qing Luo hurriedly stood up and shouted towards the door. Don't come in, I'll be right there. After saying that, he turned around and patted Yen Xiaoyi's hand lightly. Xiaoyi, rest well first. Don't think too much about other things. Wait for me to come back. Yen Xiaoyi didn't answer. She just pulled the corners of her lips and smiled. Yi Qing Luo held her little hand tightly. Worried that Long Yunjan would push open the door and enter, he didn't stay any longer and left Yen Xiaoyi's room. Before closing the door, she looked deeply at Yen Xiaoyi. Yen Xiaoyi's expression was calm as she quietly laid on the bed. Her gaze was fixed in front of her, and no one knew what she was thinking. Thinking about it, Yi Qing Luo was still worried. After telling Long Yunjan to wait for her for a while, she went to Kitty Li's room. In Kitty Li's body flowed the blood of the beastmen. Its ability to heal wounds was extremely strong, and in the competition, Yi Qing Luo didn't allow Kitty Li to go up on stage. Thus, Kitty Li's injuries had mostly healed. Unlike the other brothers who couldn't get out of bed and walk around, she could already walk around the mansion. Yi Qing Luo asked Kitty Li to go to Yen Xiaoyi's room to accompany her for a chat. At least, it wouldn't let Yen Xiaoyi's imagination run wild. Towards what Yi Qing Luo had instructed, Kitty Li agreed to it. Heavenly Academy. On the holiday after the competition, the entrance of the academy was packed with people. It was extremely lively. Everyone's mouths were discussing the ending of the interclass competition, as well as the rise of the devil class. There were also quite a few people who said that they had been chatting happily with some faction in the past 2 days, or that they wanted to join some faction and so on. But very quickly, this kind of bragging was suppressed by the craze of devil class. Have you heard? Devil class is Yi Qing Luo. Didn't she establish a mercenary group? And yesterday, she got someone to burn the mercenary group's base to death. It is said that more than 100 charred corpses were carried out from the base. Yi Qing Luo's character is so arrogant, relying on her own power, totally not giving others any face. Offending others is a matter of time. Even if she were to be burnt to death, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Student Yi is arrogant, but that's because she has the capital to be arrogant. If you have the ability, why don't you try being arrogant as well? Bah! Yi Qing Luo's brainless fan, you lackey. Saying the grapes are sour when you can't eat them. People like you deserve to look up to classmate Yi for the rest of your life. As the discussion went on, it inexplicably turned into a fight. Immediately a peacemaker changed the topic. Don't get your attention wrong. What I mean is, that mercenary group which Yi Qing Luo established, the mercenaries inside, are actually Devil Class's students? How is that possible? This guess was refuted by the majority of the students. The students had all heard of Yi Qing Luo's mercenary group. On the second day after it was established, it was promoted to a bronze mercenary group. Even a complex mission could be completed with only 60 or so members. It could be said that the World Mercenary Group had a little fame in the mercenary world, and anyone who mentioned it couldn't help but raise their thumbs up. Devil Class's students were the World Group's members? Was this a joke? You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.